I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts are on the current market and the uptake, especially like the Gold Series Blue Eyes Ghost Rare. Like, I'm upset about that one because when the card was raw, near mint was around 40-ish to 60-ish, depending on the website, depending on down the eBay. I had told my friend, I'm waiting for certain things to financially happen. I go, but I'm gonna go. I go, they're undervalued. I'm gonna go buy them, buy as many as I can. And I kid you not, the day before I went to go buy them, someone had done it. Someone went and bought out all the cards.
At what price were you looking to buy them at when they were still on the market?
Wavering between like $40 to $50 for near mint. And I was all like, what? Well, like, yeah. Kind of said about that, but I'm all like, hey, well, the ones I do have are going up. So
yeah. Well, I guess if you want to disclose this information, how much did you get before it kind of shot up, or is that just too much to ask?
No, fine. I think in total I had at one time, because I had bought a bunch of them like 7 months ago, I believe, around October. And I had bought, like 12, 14 of them.
Wow.
So I still have like 12. I still have 12. One of the reasons I wanted to keep buying more is I was hoping to land in one of those chances get a 10, because I hadn't been successful getting a 10. I got 3 9s though, a few 8s, and some 7s.
Yeah, they're tough cards to grade. The 10, actually, believe it or not, I couldn't believe when someone went ahead
for 3,000.
Yeah, and bought it straight out. There was no offer. There was no offer. The guy just went and paid right away, and I was shocked, which was awesome. But at the same time, it created this precedent for these cards, especially as boxes went up. I feel like the value of the cards were very low considering how high the boxes were.
Well, yeah. Well, that was one of the reasons why I felt the card was undervalued. In part because how much the boxes were. But at the same time, when it comes to boxes and singles, the older a box, I don't know about Yu-Gi-Oh, but as far as in Magic, like, the boxes are worth way more because there's just a lot less than the singles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, the good thing is, if you're looking to buy Gold Series 5, the sealed boxes, there's quite a few still out there. The bad news the bad news is, you can buy a box and you could say, oh, it's $350 a box, and I'm going to hit a 10 Blue Eyes and a 10 Mystical Space and a 10 Solemn Judgment.
Yeah, right.
These cards are absolutely insane to grade. And here's the kicker, is that someone with Blue Eyes and all these other Ghost Rares from that set, in one submission, I want to say it was about 20-ish cards that he got 10s on all those Ghost Rares.
I remember.
And then he went ahead and liquidated it all.
Yeah, I remember, because that's around the time I sent in a few of my Blue Eyes. And so I was hoping, when I saw that the number of 10s went up, I was hoping one of them would have been mine, but no, sadly it wasn't.
Yeah.
I have a few cards that PSA is taking forever to grade my new batch. I sent in 2 batches, and one of them I have, it's not first edition, but I have a Ghost Rare Stardust, Ultimate Rare DD Crow, first edition. What else? Quite a few cards that actually ended up just like I didn't even know I had. I didn't even know I owned them. But I went through all my boxes searching for that Ghost Rare Stardust. I knew I had it, but I just couldn't find it for some reason. And I ended up finding all these Ultimate Rare first editions from GX that I never even knew I had. I was like, this is a very nice find.
Yeah, and I know some of the commenters remember actually the phone call the first time I did the stream, or last time it was, and they said, "Was this the guy that thought the Blue Eyes box should be 3,000?" And I believe it is. I believe you were the one that said, "Well, the stuff right now, this was had to be several months ago, was still was too
Yeah.
overpriced." What do you think now? Do you think Blue Eyes White Dragon boxes are still underpriced or overpriced? Excuse me.
Uh, I mean, yeah. Well, my opinion right now, at this moment, I don't know exactly what's going on with everything going up. Like clearly, just everything, stock market, things with how bad the economy kind of really is in a way, and also the fact that they've inserted like lots trillions of dollars into the economy out of nowhere, and there's no inflation. I don't know. I'm just worried about all that and wondering. I think it's the stimulus. Honestly, I think it's the stimulus check. Like you had someone commenting that they said they spent $1,000 on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm all like, when I heard that, I was all like, I know where that $1,000 came from.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're getting the stimulus at 1,200 and you're getting 600 on unemployment plus the unemployment benefits, especially in a lower cost to live area, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money. I mean, that's
No.
significant.
No, I
amount of
know.
money.
Like,
Yeah.
like especially like the people that are getting unemployment. Like, I know it sucks not to have your like lose your job and stuff. But I'm lucky that I'm considered, I guess, essential. I'm a truck driver delivering produce to stores. So, um, but but when they said that they're going to get $600 on top of what they already were getting weekly from unemployment, and it was going to be there until like the end of July, or I'm all like, no one's going to want to go back to work. They're going to make more money not working.
You're right. You're right. They're incentivized to unfortunately just call out or get fired, which is
And
almost
and
insane.
no, and the worst part is I heard the Congress, some people, members in Congress want to extend it, but that's besides the point. But honestly, I still think in the long run, for if you're looking to invest in long term for the Blue Eyes White Dragon box, I think it's only going to go up because there's going to be less and less in the market. The only downfall I could see with Yu-Gi-Oh, and I think Yu-Gi-Oh has a problem, is that I mean, granted, I don't play anymore, so I don't really know how it is at stores. But as far as in my town, like Yu-Gi-Oh's not that like it's almost like dead. There's almost no stores running Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, as far as I know, when the stores were open before the virus. So I think as they're getting new players to play, I guess, for fans, because one thing Pokemon has going for it is kids keep loving their cartoons. It's like it's actually that the Pokemon company brand is actually like the biggest in the world. It's even bigger than each property owned by Disney individually. So
Yeah, I 100% agree with you in the fact that I think the safest of the three card games by far, and I think I've mentioned this in my videos, if you had to pick between Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, the safest of the three with the most future potential in terms of the next generation and the generation after that, it's gotta be Pokemon. There's no question about it. Um, in
yeah,
ter-
I agree.
in terms of collectability, the old Magic, I think the reason why a lot of the old Magic is so high, A, is because the people playing Magic or who are collecting the old Magic now are so much older to the point where they have so much disposable income. Secondly, back in
And
the
the
day,
rarity.
yeah, 1995, 1993,
No
1994.
one selects.
No, nobody put the stuff in top loaders. I don't even think there were top loaders. I don't think there were soft sleeves. If anything, there was binders, but that didn't really keep a card in great shape. And nobody with the gaming cards ever thought that these things could actually be worth a lot of money. In terms of Yu-Gi-Oh
No, yeah.
cards, what I think sets the difference between Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards, just to compare the two, is I think the rarity of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You have, with Pokemon, it's 1 in 3 packs. You get a holo. If you buy a box, you probably complete 70 to 80% of the whole set. With Yu-Gi-Oh, you're talking, you have to buy cases and cases and cases just to complete
Oh,
the sets. Because you're talking an
oh,
ultra rare is 1 in 12, right? An ultra rare is 1 in 12, but if there's 10 ultra rares, you're gonna have to buy 10
Well, yeah.
boxes at the minimum
So
if everything
I
is right.
agree. When I was collecting, and one of the things that I hate about myself, that I hate as part of myself of collecting is that I'm kind of a completionist. So I like to complete sets. I mean, like I don't like go completely out of the way and spend with our money, but I try and complete it as cheaply as possible as I can. Because for some reason I just like to play complete sets. And I actually was only able to complete one whole Yu-Gi-Oh set, and that's because at the time I was a part owner of a collectible store, and the set just sounded cool. It was Storm of Ragnarok during the 5Ds, and I bought a case of it. And to get the complete set, I had to open up. I ended up opening up 9 boxes of the set, and luckily I was able to pull the Ghost Rare, and I pulled all the Ultimates and Supers and Ultras and Secrets. So it took me 9 boxes to complete the set.
Yeah, and that's I think with the biggest difference. I mean, because the ultras, the secrets, even the supers, at 1 in 6, and you get, let's say, between 10 and 15 supers in a set. That's not easy to complete. In addition to that, if you want a certain super ultra rare, especially a high end card like something like a Dark Paladin, a Blackluster Soldier, a Dark Magician of Chaos, you're gonna have to buy box after box after box. And at the prices they're currently at, the PSA 10 prices are not that high considering what the prices of sealed product are and how hard it is to actually pull, let alone in perfect shape. So I think that Pokemon cards are actually much harder to grade than Yu-Gi-Oh cards in general. But I think that to pull the Yu-Gi-Oh cards is much harder than the Pokemon cards.
I agree. But going back to the blind spot, I do think in the long run, as long as there's we live in a world where people like collecting and nostalgia and growing up, there's gonna be always some collectors. It's and even in the comic book industry, it's like I told one of my friends because I had been telling him about he hates comic books from different countries, like the foreign countries. He doesn't really like them or care about it. But I told him, I go, look at the value of it. Look at the price compared to the American one, the U.S. one. Then I go, there's people out there that want, or completionists like me, that will like every version of the same book. I go, how rare do you think the ones in other countries are? And getting them in good condition, too. I go, you can eventually see an uptake in value on some of the foreign books, and they have. So they slightly started to go up. Some of the more first Black Panther, first major characters, you've seen the foreign books start to go up because they're not that easily found. They're not so overly printed like here in the U.S.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the biggest concern for Yu-Gi-Oh! In general and vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, and you mentioned this earlier in the call, you said the game, in your opinion, and I think you're right, I really do. I think the game is, well, it's obviously not what it was, but I'm concerned that the game can have the can last longer than that of a Pokemon or even Magic, although I think Magic's on that same trajectory of just kind of dipping a little bit. I think if the game were to fail, I think the vintage cards will definitely take a hit.
I think for a while, I think for a little bit they might, but even if a game is dead, I think take what was the name? It eludes the name right now. They tried bringing it back in America. They brought it back as Kaijudo. I don't know why. They should just brought it back as the original name. They're still going on in Japan. What's the name of the card game? I can't think of it right now. But even though the game died twice in America, but the first original time, my brother loved that game, and he actually collected some of the cards. And some of those cards are even though it's a dead game in America, are ridiculous, even raw. And if you could end the boxes because they're super rare, because they it wasn't that popular a game, and they're like outrageous in value if you can even find it. And so, like my brother, he had me send in one of his cards to get graded, and just raw, it was going for like $300.
Yeah.
And I was going like, so I just think, but I do think in the long run, I still think the box Blue Eyes and many of the Yu-Gi-Oh ones will go up. As scarcity goes, the sealed boxes gets eliminated from the market over time.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Diego, for the call. I appreciate it. Any last words
problem,
on Gold Series 5? Where do you think it's heading from now? Do you think in a year from now you're going to be talking, man, I should have bought the Blue Eyes for $100?
Yeah. I think near mint is still at $100. It's probably around that area. I still think it's a decent buy. If you could if it is near mint, because there are some people that like sell near mint that the foil is all scratched up, and I'm like, it's not near mint.
Yeah, no, that happens way too often.
Yeah, but if you can actually get a real clean near mint, a raw card for in the range of around $100, I still think in the long run it's still a pretty good investment. Especially since it doesn't look like they're. I don't know if they're even making more ghost rares in America.
No, they don't actually. So it'll be interesting.
And that's hold on. One more thing is and that's one of the things I actually told one of my friends we were discussing. I told him I go. Many people want the first edition. But I told him but you know what? Which ones in my opinion are somewhat undervalued, or the unlimited, the unlimited ultimate rares and ghost rares. I told him as far as I know, even if they reprint the set, there's not going to be ghost rares or ultimate rares.
Yeah.
And so even though they're unlimited, they're limited.
Yeah.
They're still limited because they're not making them again in that rarity. So even though the card might be reprinted in another set or reprinting of some packs that they put in those ones in Walmart or whatnot, you're not going to get an ultimate or ghost rare though.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Diego. I appreciate you calling in again, and it's nice discussions. Appreciate it. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Diego? He was a big fan of Gold Series 5, a big fan of the Ghost Rares. You never know with Konami, and they may say they may never print Ultimates or Ghosts again, but as we know, Konami kind of can make their own rules. So you never really can guarantee anything, unfortunately, in this industry. I agree that Ghost Rares are extremely tough to grade. I think that Gold Series 5 Ghost Rares especially are even tougher to grade. I compare Gold Series 5 to the Neo Genesis set, which is the set that's now exploding in Pokemon. Again, I'm going back to Pokemon, but just to compare here, very difficult set to grade in Gold Series 5. You could get box after box after box after box and not get any Gem Intense. So that's the concern, and that's the risk you take. And when you're buying a box for $300+, you'd want a 10, and it's very unlikely it's going to happen. So take it as you will. So I appreciate the call, Diego. Have you changed your mind about DDS being a better investment than SDK? SDK going for $3,500+. I don't, actually. I really don't. And SDK has proved me wrong temporarily. I still think DDS. If you want a Blue Eyes, you have to choose between the two. I think most people are going to go for the DDS version. I really do. It's just the better looking card. And a lot of folks kind of downplayed Gold Series 5, the one behind the Tombstone, the Ghost Rare of Blue Eyes White Dragon, saying it's the worst artwork there is. And I agree. I think it's really one of the worst artworks there are. But at the same time, LOB Blue Eyes, I feel, is one of the worst artworks there is. I really feel like LOB Blue Eyes is one of the worst artworks. It's not horrible, But it certainly is not the DDS or SDK artwork. It's certainly not some of the other artworks we're seeing. And how has that affected the price? It's just based on the fact that it's from the first pack, first edition, packs pulled card, the iconic card, and I think, yes, artwork has a lot to do with value, but at the same time, rarity has a lot to do with it too, and just the iconic factor. And I think what the Gold Series 5 Blue Eyes has is a rarity. So we'll have to see, and we'll wait and see for sure. Yes, I agree. For the value, I think it's pretty ugly. Dual terminal previews, I can't really get into that. I don't know enough about it to really... I've seen the prices going crazy for that. Trophy cards, Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Trophy cards for Yu-Gi-Oh! The prize cards, Shonen Jump prize cards, I love them. John plays violin, so hey, you never know. Play some violin on the live stream and get some people rallied up with that violin. I think that'd be a cool idea. Oh god, I'm such a nerd. What do you think of Judge booster boxes? Supposed to have a ratio of 1 to 75 to get a ghost rare. So 3 to 4 ghosts a case of Judge booster boxes. That sounds very unlikely to me. Yeah. I actually had someone message me about this, and I wasn't sure myself. They went on Reddit. They asked some people on Reddit who supposedly knew what they were talking about. Most people said, hey, these Judge boxes are a bunch of crap. They're a bunch of baloney, a bunch of fakes. So yeah. Cardboard Collector, what's going on? Jaden, do you have any first... No, I don't have 5D's tins. I did a Yu-Gi-Oh cover on my channel. That's pretty cool, man. That's really cool. So very, very cool stuff. And then again, Diego, I appreciate the call. We actually earlier in the evening had a clown calling in, and I should actually look at the amount of blocked numbers that I now have on my Skype, which is, I want to say 9 different numbers. Pretty impressive. He must have really been planning this the last couple days to really like bomb the freaking live stream with numbers. Let's see here. Do you own any prize cards in Yu-Gi-Oh? I do own the Cyberstein. The Cyberstein is the one I own, and to be honest, there's that and maybe 2 to 3 other cards that I really want. Crush card I want Gold Sarcophagus, and I want Shrink. Card of Sanctity ain't bad either. See, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get another one. If I get another prize card, and then it's like, well, I could always go for another prize card and then get another one. I really only want to stick with the originals. I want the Crush cards. I want the Cybersteins. I want some of the good stuff. I don't really know the new prize cards that much, to be honest. Although the Chaos Emperor one looks really sweet. I will say that. Which box of GX is most possible that you could sell? Yeah, right now, none. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. No GX boxes are for sale. I sold them, and then I'm like, crap. I can't sell anymore. This is getting bad. Thoughts on D's nuts? Very salty, but sweet at the same time. New price cards are gross. Yeah, I agree. It's the only one I like is the Chaos Emperor one. Minerva's cool. I stuck with the reprint from Battles of Legends Light Revenge. I mean, it's secret rare and it ain't a prize card, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper. It's the price of a dinner or a few coffees. So there's that. YCS match winners, the ones that came before Shonen Jump Championships. So are you talking about the Cyberstein, or cause that's the first one I always thought existed, was the Cyberstein, at least in America. Do you worry about water damage, fires at your house? The valuable cards locked away in a bank. Safe deposit box, bank, insured. Peace of mind, get them away. That's the best way to do it for sure. What's going on? Is this Petty? He was, but I guess he came in a little too late. So you are on. You are on right now. How's it going? What's your name?
Hello. Well, my tag on YouTube is John Plays Violin, but Instagram, Rainbow Neos King.
Okay, Rainbow Neos King. I feel like I've heard that. I feel like I've seen it.
I've definitely slid into your DMs. I think maybe more than once.
Oh, that's awesome. So I guess you collect Rainbow Neos.
Yeah, I had at one point, a little over 40, 50 Ghost Rare copies between
Holy.
Unlimited
Whoa.
and First Edition.
That's wild. How many do you have now?
Well, in my current possession, I've got about 3, but I sent, about 15 for grading. But I've been waiting since November. I submitted with Pink Cape, but it's just been a super long process with PSA lately.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous. You did the bulk service or the value service?
I think it was a bulk service because we had a guy over there submit like 500 cards. It was a big group of people.
Wow. Pink Cape's an awesome dude too. I don't know if he's watching. I don't think he's watching. I think he actually just had a kid, I want to say. I know I don't think he really cares I say this on a stream, but congrats to him. He's a very good guy. 500 cards in a submission. I would be warned. I really feel like what's been going on lately is not good. I actually just heard of someone else getting their cards back and they got slaughtered. They were getting 7s, 8s, if lucky a 9, hardly any 10s, which is concerning.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like they're getting real tough. I don't know what's going on. I also have a feeling because it's the SMR magazine, that's got something to do with it. Now that they kind of advertise it all over their magazine, they might want to keep the values of 10s high, so they might want to just limit the amount of 10s that or be really strict on the 10s that they give out. But you can't really change midway through, which is why I'm not a fan. I don't like what's going on lately, but maybe I just got unlucky, so we'll see.
Yeah, I know because I do Pokemon too. I know in the Pokemon community, there's a lot of talk between, 2 million certs versus 4 million certs. Is that like a similar thing going on with Yu-Gi-Oh or?
It's starting. People aren't as serious about it as they are in Pokemon, but I feel like with time that might become a thing. Unfortunately, I'll be honest. I bought this PSA 10 Unlimited based Charizard, and this was with the old cert, and the label didn't even have the PSA underneath. On the bottom border there was the PSA logo. It didn't even have the
the little holographic.
Yeah, it didn't even have the holographic. It was just it was that old to the point. It must have been graded, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and the card did have like a tad of white on the back corner. And I said, nowadays there's no way that this would ever pass as a PSA 10.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I feel like they did it with Pokemon, and I feel like it's coming, if not already here, unfortunately, for Yu-Gi-Oh! But we'll have to see.
Nice. I was listening in a little earlier about, Ghost Rares, and I just kind of wanted to, put my 2 cents in. I've just been like, it's been, nice to see the growth that's been happening recently with Ghost Rares recently,
Oh, it's been unbelievable. Yeah.
There was I think a recent sale for Rainbow Dragon. I don't know if it was authentic or not, for $3K, which is, mind blowing. But given, the difficulty to grade on those things and just the difficulty to pull, it's wild.
Yeah. I mean, you got to beat the odds to pull it, and then you got to beat the odds out of the pack to get it without a scratch. And there's certain cards and certain sets I feel like that are even worse than others. I feel like certain cards like Gladiator's Assault, was it Chaos Neos? I feel like that card out of the pack isn't necessarily too hard to grade compared to something like, I could tell you with the Red Eyes Flare Metal, that card is almost impossible. And I regret selling the 10 I had. I had a 10, but I must have bought 50, 60 of them, and none of them. And you're talking pack fresh. People who put it right into a sleeve, and they're scratched, just right out of the pack.
They're scratched.
Yeah.
Yep. That's like, it's always hindsight 2020,
Yeah. Well, it's tough. And you got to wonder, though. I know the Ghost Rare hype is, well, Konami's never going to print Ghost Rares again, similar to Ultimates. But my concern is, what if they do? Then it's going to kind of dilute some of the value. Not to say that all the value is going to be gone of Ghost Rares, but right now it's a special thing in the fact that it's discontinued. We see it in Japan, so I'm figuring, well, why wouldn't they just do it in the U.S.? I don't know. But I guess we'll have to see.
Even like in Japan, though, the Ghost Rare, I mean, the foiling is different, I have like a few different language cards, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Japanese. It's not doesn't have the same depth to it, I think.
Yeah, are you talking about like the Blue Eyes, the Rarity Collection? Because that's the one I have in terms of current cards with from Japan. Relatively, it was about 2 years ago. That card, like you're right. I feel like you look at it and it's got the tint and it's got the rainbow tint to it, but it doesn't have like it doesn't just pop at you, kind of like what the current ones that we used to have, I guess, did. Um, like a Stardust Dragon really
What?
pops.
Oh yeah, Stardust, Assault Mode, Red Dragon Archfiend. That was good.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on just like unlimited? So like let's pretend unlimited PSA 10 Ghost Rares. Do they have a market for them, or are they? It's too niche given the size of the collector community for Yu-Gi-Oh. Because with Pokemon, even unlimited base set Jungle Fossil still yields those crazy high prices.
Yeah, I agree with you. For the longest time I said never buy unlimited, never buy unlimited, never buy unlimited. But now I feel like we're at the point where the prices are getting so out of control that for the average collector, you can't afford a first ed anymore, let alone a 9 even for some of these cards these days. So I do feel like the unlimiteds will start to creep up as the first eds go up. Do I think as an investment, it's a good buy? It's a tough call. I think it depends on the card. I think it depends on how hard it is to grade. If it's a ghost rare, I think it'd be fine. You could think of it this way. How many unlimited 10s could you get for the price of the one first ed 10? Or even how many unlimited 10s can you get for a first ed 9? That might be a better comparison too. So it kind of depends on what card you're looking for. But I think there is room as the prices of the first eds go up.
Okay. Yeah, and 9s in general also, I mean, there's some 9s that are just like the Ulti Sacred Beasts. Like even in 9, those things are just, I had an Uriah, I think it was a 9 2 years ago. And just like since then, they've just gone up so hard. And those are like some of the cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that you just can't find even on eBay. You have to be like sitting on eBay months just to find one. And it's crazy.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people laughed at the guy who went ahead and bought the 3 Sacred Beasts in 10s. He bought the Horus. He bought the set of Horus, the 3-card set in 10s for, I want to say, 1,000 at the time. And everyone thought he was crazy. He hit the buy it now, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, did he overspend or what?" But now he's got the last laugh, and his collection's unbelievable. But he actually told me, he said, "Well, I prefer to buy it now, hold it, and if it's something that rare, which he believed it was that rare, and he was obviously right, then he doesn't mind paying for it now, even if it's a little over." And obviously he'll win in the long run, and he certainly has done well. So ultimates are another whole different animal as well.
Yeah, Ultimates, and then some of the GX secret rares, the pull rates during that time were just kind of, wonky. You look at Magic Formula. What's your thoughts on the Magic book?
Oh, I despise it. I have no interest. I look at the card and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Give me an ultimate. Give me a ghost rare from that generation. Give me an e-hero, something cool. Magic Formula. I mean, I look at Raigeki and I look at other cards. Mystical Space Typhoon was like an iconic Magic card, and then I'm like, Magic Formula to be worth like quadruple of what a Raigeki is going for in a 10. Polymerization LOB 10. I would much rather have that than a Magic Formula. But maybe that's because I didn't play, as it was, I guess, in its prime, but it's still, I just don't understand. I don't get that. I like Necroface more, to be honest with you, which is obviously a much more niche card.
No, but that's like kind of like what Yu-Gi-Oh is all about, that kind of art style with like Necroface and a lot of that era. I think Gladiator's Soul, Phantom Darkness, that really creepy looking stuff. That's kind of like an old tale to like the old Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and that kind of more gory aspect.
Yeah, I love it. I love Necroface. Like, what is it? Illblood or Illblood? Whatever the card from Tactical Evolution was, with the freaking face going through the middle. It's like a zombie-looking thing. Do you know what card I'm talking about? That card is creepy.
Yeah.
And that card, when it came out, was like $150 raw card. I remember when that card came out, I was like, man, this is an expensive card. And Necroface was always expensive. Now, here's the thing, and I'm sure you've noticed this. In Gladiator's Assault, Tactical Evolution, Phantom Darkness, I feel like there's certain cards that you can only get in the booster boxes in terms of the secret rares rather than the blisters. I've seen so many blister Gladiator's Assault boxes open. Never have I seen the Necroface or the Magic Formula or anything like that. I've only seen them out of booster boxes. So I'm thinking Upper Deck said, at the time, said we're going to put these secret rares into only booster boxes.
Yeah, because I mean, weren't there like, especially during that time, there was just so many secret rares in those sets that maybe there was some kind of division between, you know, blisters and booster boxes.
I would guess if I had to take a guess, I'd say I'm 95% certain that you cannot pull a Necroface or a Magic Formula out of a blister pack or box of Gladiator's Assault. I've never seen it happen. I've seen it happen in Unlimited, but I've never seen it happen in First Edition, and I've seen countless amounts of boxes opened. You can pull Ghost Rares out of the blisters. I actually firsthand pulled a Ghost Rare out of the blister Gladiator's Assault, but there's certain secrets, I think, like Dark Arm Dragon, I feel like would only be in a booster box. I feel like that card, whatever we were talking about, Ill Blood or whatever it is from Tactical Evolution, I feel like that card is only in booster boxes as well, but I can't confirm that. But knowing Upper Deck, I would not be shocked because that's what they like to do.
Yeah, and Phantom Darkness, I just feel like is just such an interesting set, you know, compared to like all these other, you know, compared to Duelist Genesis, the cover card, Stardust Dragon, but you know, Phantom Darkness, the Ghost Rare isn't even the cover card, and then on top of that, the Ghost Rare isn't even like the, you know, the most desired card in that set. Everyone wants Dark Arm.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And that's a card I sold probably prematurely as well. So I know that's like a pop 4. I got a lot of money for it, but I feel like in the long run, it's Dark Arm Dragon. So, you know, it's a tough card to grade too. Even when you pulled it, they came out off center, I feel like, a lot as well. So very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And people,
very off center.
People played them a lot, so it's a big card to grade. I love that card. I really do. A lot of people say it's the Chaos Emperor Dragon of the GX era.
GX.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
And honestly, Chaos Emperor Dragon is, in my opinion, compared to what some of these other prices are going, I feel like Chaos Emperor is not that bad in terms of pricing, just comparatively. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Phantom Darkness is a great set, and I loved Honest from Light of Destruction. That was just a beautiful card in Ghost.
Yeah, one thing, you know, with these more popular sets, Invasion of Chaos, Phantom Darkness, because those sets, you know, were crazy and back in the time when they came out, because they were, you know, playable. Like Dark Arm Dragon was, I don't know, $250, $300 card at the time when it was first released. So it's like, I wonder, because, you know, with Pokemon, some of these sets that come out recently, if they're super popular, they print it like crazy. Do you think, you know, Phantom Darkness, sets like that, they were, you know, pushed on the presses, like printed like crazy compared to, I don't know, Force of the Breaker or any of those random sets?
I feel like this is a crazy comparison, and I've meant to make this comparison probably for another video, but I feel like the GX to 5Ds era of Yu-Gi-Oh, and even beyond that, I feel like you can compare to the Pokemon era of Skyridge, the E-Series, all the series, because I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh was at its height when the first, you know, all the way up to Ancient Sanctuary. After Ancient Sanctuary, things kind of cooled down a little bit. I feel like they produced less of the stuff than they did in the original sets. Now, that's just me making an assumption. But I do feel like, yeah, that there was less of that made of all of it, whether it be Soul of the Duelist, whether it be, you know, Shadow of Infinity, whether it be Phantom Darkness. I feel like there was much less of that produced than there was Metal Raiders and there was Magic Ruler. And then the populations kind of can reflect that. The populations getting graded. And even the populations online on eBay.
Yeah, and I mean, all those cards also being, all the cover cards being so hard to grade, with, you know, ultis just being just so annoying to grade with waxing on the back, or just, you know, they're overpressed or stuff like that. All that formula together to make, you know, an expensive, desirable card.
Oh yeah, it's brutal in terms of collecting. I wanted to get every GX cover card ulti 10, and it's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen ever. I mean, at this point, I'm like, I may as well go for a prize card for the money I'm gonna spend on some of these GX cards. It's just it unfortunately it's not gonna happen. I ended up getting, some of the big ones like Shining Flare and Cyber End, but it just some of the other ones. There's no way it's not gonna happen. Like Horus, I never got, or Sacred Beasts I never got, so I'm done. I'm toast. Forget it.
Also just really quick with trophy cards, that's like a big, like huge thing, because I've been like I recently started to diverge just from Yu-Gi-Oh and go into Pokemon, the last few months, and trophy cards are just like the biggest craze. While I feel like, yeah, trophy cards are popular with Yu-Gi-Oh, especially I would say more with the competitive players, because that's how those are the people who win them. I don't know. Like, I feel like the old school ones, like Cyberstein, Crush Card Virus, stuff like that, very desirable with the old school people. But I feel like we haven't seen that, crazy jump for those newer ones recently.
Yeah, I think with the new cards, I couldn't really tell you the new prize cards, what really in the order of how it came out. I just don't follow it enough anymore, the new stuff, to kind of see what's happening there. The old stuff, I feel like, yeah, it has risen, but I feel like that it's just starting. It is. I noticed with Cyberstein, that the demand for Cyberstein in the last 6 months has just been unbelievable. I probably could sell the Stein now for probably double what I could have sold it for 6 months ago, which is really crazy. The problem now is I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the other ones that I'm looking for, and nobody's really selling. Like, I know there was Crush Cards on eBay, like played copies for like 2.5K or something like that, but I know someone else in this chat watching has purchased one of them, so I will not name names, but yes, someone did. For a played copy. So I don't know. Prize cards are still undervalued, basically, long story short there, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably my biggest Yu-Gi-Oh regret, was not picking up Cyberstein when I could have, like, for a reasonable price. I mean, it's still undervalued, still, considering, its history and everything. But, yeah, that's my biggest regret, honestly.
And I remember them going on auction. There were 2, 3, 4 at the same time going on auction for like a month, I want to say. And every week there was a new one that went up, and they all went for around 3 to 3.2. Which again was my regret not buying it at the 3.2. So, but it is what it is. It's tough. Now, another thing that people don't like about Cyberstein is the fact that they say, well, it's the most mass-produced prize card that you can buy, but well, that's true, whether it be 100 copies, 150, 200 copies, it's still only 200 copies compared to the rest of the cards. I mean, 200 copies would be absolutely nothing. And then you look at the population report, there's probably 25 graded or 30 graded at PSA and maybe 10 at Beckett. So there's really not that many even graded. So there can't be that many out there.
Exactly, yeah. Like, you have to keep in mind, once, like, those cards, especially for their age, like, there's just like a drop-off period. Even with GX stuff, that, like, even though it might have been produced a certain amount, like, you're not going to find even like half of the stuff that was originally produced given that time,
Yeah, and I mean, people say, oh, there's a ton of them. I mean, by a ton, a couple hundred is absolutely nothing. Now, because what happened with the Stein was there were 2 released, I believe, and then they re-released it at the Upper Deck Day event, which was years after, and I think there was maybe 100 to 200 released after that. I heard 120, but it's all different stories. But that's still nothing at the end of the day.
What I want to ask you on a similar topic really quick was also, I mean, concerning, the World Championships and stuff, what is the average, like, attendance for one of those things? Because, there's those cards that they give out to everyone who basically attends. And I was just, because, there's probably like a limit to how many were produced. I don't know off the top of my head what the average World Championship, attendance is. Do you have any idea?
That's a great question. I've heard year over year, the last 2 to 3 years, it's gone up. I don't know the exact number, unfortunately, but I heard it has gone up. Now, that could have been, well, it went up 3% from last year. It could have been 5%. It could have been 10%. I don't really know. So that's a great question that maybe someone in the chat, I know there's a few players actually in the chat, so maybe someone in the chat could actually answer that question in terms of how many players exactly have attended these events. But I wish I knew. And that's part of the concern is, well, if the game kind of fades, I find it very difficult for the vintage stuff to retain value. I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, if the game fades, I feel like the lust kind of, fades away. I don't know. It's a tough call.
I know with like the anime, that's like one thing that like you can always kind of count on, though. That there's that anime nostalgia for the people who grew up Saturday mornings watching 4Kids dubbed Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, and despite if the game eventually reached that conclusion, there's always there'll always be at least that love for like I would say probably for the first 3 generations for 5Ds, GX, and OG, because that's when like the animes were probably at their peak. Yeah,
maybe I'm underestimating. And I know internationally the game is just absolutely on fire. It's popular as heck, in Japan and in a lot of Asia. I feel like some of the biggest buyers in terms of the high-end collectors, a lot of them are in Asia. Ironically, a lot of them prefer Beckett cards or BGS graded cards than PSA, which is interesting to me too. So, interesting. I mean, I think Yu-Gi-Oh is the biggest international market of the 3 in terms of the real big buyers. They're buying a lot from Japan or outside the US or Europe.
Yeah, and I know you were talking about the big 3 card games a little bit earlier, and it's just like, maybe because I don't, have any position on Magic or anything, but I just don't understand given like, I know that there's a high age range, people in their 40s, 50s playing Magic and like collecting the old stuff, but I don't see how it just still translates to having a market so high, compared to something that has a much more nostalgia factor like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. I know it has age, but like it's just a game at the end of the day. It has no, maybe I don't want to roast, like I don't want to like get any hate in the chat, but it doesn't have the, I grew up with this when I was a kid watching the show or anything like that going for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't have any connection to Magic. I never got into Magic, so my main 2 are Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. Magic's kind of just, I know about it, I know the main cards, I know Black Lotus, all the main stuff, but I will say that the main reason, in my opinion, why Magic is so expensive is because the quantities produced were probably very, very little back in 1994, 5, 96. I'm sure they were not cranking the presses because they didn't know how the game was going to, really take off. Secondly, the crowd is older, like you said, a lot in their 30s, 40s, 50s, a lot more income, a lot more disposable income. And then lastly, the fact that those cards were condition sensitive and the fact that they were just, nobody really protected them. And they were tough to protect back then. Because grading wasn't even a thing really back then. So, I feel like those 3 factors mixed in created those crazy prices.
Yeah.
That
makes sense. And they're all play, and that's the other thing. They're all playable. So like people, would buy, I know, like those Mox Ruby or whatever to put into their, super, super old decks even to this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, out of the 3 card games, definitely Magic was the one pretty much strictly a playable game. The other 3 had, whether it be video games behind it, whether it be anime, whether it be manga, whatever. There's always, something else with the card game. This Magic, it was just the card game, and I don't feel like anybody in 1995 was saying this gaming game, this gaming card game is going to be worth a ton if it's in perfect condition. I can't imagine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's tough. So, thanks again. I appreciate you calling in. And so, do you want to give anyone in the chat a shout out to your channel? You said you had a channel.
Yeah, well, I'm a violinist, so I'm finishing my master's degree right now. But yeah, I do anime violin covers. So my channel is John Plays Violin. I did a Yu-Gi-Oh one a few weeks ago of one of the Japanese openings. But yeah,
that's awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining. Is this your first stream that you've joined in?
I've always wanted to join in, but I've always missed them because they've always been at bad times, with school and everything. But, with this whole crisis, I have this extra time on my hands, so I decided to join in instead of watching it, after the fact. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. All right, go check out John again. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. And so what do you guys think about John and Ghost Rares, of course? We talked about Ultimate Rares. We talked about a lot of good stuff, Magic the Gathering, and, of course, the comparisons there. And let's just take a look at the comments. Did your Ghost Rare Blue Eyes actually sell for $35? Yes. Yes, it actually sold at $3,500, which was a shock to me, an absolute shock. Very low population. Very low population there, but yes, it did. And we have another phone call coming in, and this is from, I believe, the man himself. The man himself.
This coming from the man himself.
Is coming in, and happy to have you, I believe. This sounds like Petty Party.
Yeah, how's it going, Tim? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, and I believe the chat all can hear you here, so you are on.
Perfect. How you doing tonight in quarantine?
I'm doing all right. We had a nice surprise early in the stream, that's for sure. But the good thing is it was so early to where I could just cut it out. I'll edit that out at the beginning. It was, I guess, a fan that just wanted to cause a ruckus. Probably the same guy that made the videos or said that they were me and making videos. I don't know. Just some weirdo. But it looks like we have in the comments someone that said the Cybersteins, we were talking about prize cards, 500 Cybersteins, not 150.
I mean, I heard there was extra cards given out at an event, but I can't see it being 500.
Yeah, it's bizarre considering you look at the graded copies. I mean, and anyone that's going to have that card, you'd think would keep it in great shape because they're not going to just, except the one guy that laminated it, which was an absolute bonehead move. But
yeah, let's talk about that one. But in my opinion, if it was 500, we'd see a hell of a lot more graded copies.
I agree with you. And honestly, even on eBay, it's not like you see a decent amount of copies. Now, 500 is still not even that much. If it were 500, I feel like even a card with 500 copies is still not that much, but let alone, I don't know. It's interesting to talk about. So what do you want to talk about tonight? Anything specific?
Mainly the fact of the giant price hikes in a lot of the cards, because none of it really surprises me. And I still think most of the market's under optimized, despite what some people complain about it.
So you still think there's room to grow, and do you think that's in the short term? Do you think it's in the long term? What do you think is going to happen in the next, let's say, 12 months? Do you think it's kind of going to cool off and plateau?
If the economy opens up again and everything goes good for the summer and everyone gets back on track, I think we're fine. The whole monkey wrench is if we get into the winter months and we hit wave 2 and everything shuts down again and the governments don't have the cash laying around to do the stimulus checks again, I think then we're going to be in for a world of hurt. But other than that, I'm not too worried for at least the next. And by short term to me, I mean like next 6 months to a year. I know short term to most people, it's like 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's crazy. No way. I'm not about that lifestyle. That's too much for me.
Yeah, let's not go there.
No. So let's just look at some comments here. I know I'm definitely behind on some of these comments. Cyhawk, nice to have you here again. I had another comment. Do you collect First Ed Commons from LOB? I do not. I probably might just binder them, honestly, because it's just the right thing to do. You want to have a binder set of everything.
At this point, I've graded close on 10% of the entire LOB population.
No, jeez. So are you going for like complete sets and 10s or like LOB or anything like the common set or no?
I mean, I could have. Outside of like a couple of stupid cards like Basic Insect and like I think is it Fog King or there's one of the ones that have Fog in it.
Oh, Fog King, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is Fog King. Outside of like a couple of weird ones like those that are just impossible to find centered, And with PSA being PSA the last few months, I think I've graded every LOB common in a 10. There's, like I said, there's a couple of those weird ones that have super low pops. I haven't. So man, it could have at this point, but I just keep selling them and then buying more rock cards to grade and then do that and rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's the way to go. Now, I'm curious to see how your submission comes out because from what we talked about
I
before, you know.
Yeah, no, I got destroyed on some of my submissions there before Christmas, same as you and Vintage and a few other people. So like I'm spending with LOB and like MRD commons like 5 minutes a card going over them and making sure, oh, if there's a little bit of dirt, you wipe it off with a microfiber cloth, and I'm not submitting anything with any whitening at all. And like if I don't get at least 80% tens this time around, I'm calling shenanigans.
Ay. So what kind of tips? Anyone in the chat might want to know what kind of tips you wipe them down with the microfiber cloth. I get that. Now, a lot of people say there's ways to take out scratches. There's ways to take out surface, but I feel like that's a bunch of baloney too. You know, sometimes you kind of you would try it and it'd end up backfiring and you'd end up with a worse condition card than when you tried it before.
Yeah. Mainly for LOB in particular, I mean, there's a difference between the wavy and glossy prints. I find wavy is way easier to grade, even in the commons. I don't know if anyone else finds it, but I just find the glossy ones scratch a heck of a lot easier, even on like the backs and the fronts of the non-hollows. I try to stick to wavy when I can because of that. That being said, like most people don't distinguish between wavy and glossy non-hollows. So it is what it is when it comes to that. But from my own personal experience, I find the wavy non-hollows a heck of a lot easier to grade. And I know Ruxin has a giant sub coming back from PSA after his epic box opening he did a couple months ago. So I'm interested to see how his glossy non-hollows turn out.
Yeah, I know his hollows didn't do that great. What did he have? 1 or 2 10s? Was it a 10 Monster Reborn? Or maybe I'm wrong. 10 Monster
I'm pretty
Reborn
sure
and...
his Monster Reborn was the best one out of that, so it wouldn't surprise me if it got a 10.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, the LOB video really got Ruxin's channel, going and exploded it. So, Ruxin, hopefully you're still in here. Go check out Ruxin34. I'm sure everyone in the chat knows who Ruxin34 is. The guy has been growing like crazy. Crazy openings. I don't know if you're in here, Ruxin. Oh, that he's in here. I only sent the very best, and I'm not confident. He says he opens like Ruxin's opening retro packs. He's opening like crazy stuff that I can never imagine opening. First eds like every day. And I'm just like I can never do it. But
Rux is a real MVP.
For real. Bobby asked if I collected ghost rares. Not really. I just buy and sell whatever comes through. He actually called Ruxin cute, so that's going to be interesting in the chat.
Ruxin has a not so secret admirer, I should say.
Hey, I mean.
But yeah, when it comes to LOB, especially compared to some sets, like I had stuff straight out of the pack come back before Christmas, and they got 4s.
4s.
Like I know, yeah, like, and I know that you had in particular problems with Magi Magician Girl.
Yeah, that was oof.
Yeah, I had the same issue, and then like there's a page on eBay, I think it's called Comics or something. They've got a bunch of like low graded Yu-Gi-Oh up, just like all these like 4s, 5s, and 6s. And I'm just like, how are these 4s, 5s, and 6s compared to some of the stuff that like me, you, and Vintage have graded over the last like 6 months? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's concerning. I know the Magi Magician, that for a fact there was no crease. It came back with a huge crease going across the card. I don't even know how that would happen. Luckily, it was a common card, relatively common card. If it was something expensive, I would have like flipped out. So,
well, like I that card in particular, I ordered like 20 straight from Japan, And out of the 20, only like 5 were gradable. And out of the 5 that I graded, I only got 2 10s.
Oh, jeez.
So
Jeez.
like,
Oh no. So what are you doing with
yeah.
the others? You're just holding them, just sitting in
Well,
a
like
box.
I'm not leaving a 4 a 4. Like that's gone to Beckett.
Yeah.
Like even if it gets a 9 at Beckett, it's still better than a PSA 4.
Oh, for sure. I mean, honestly, I feel like at this point, if I'm gonna get a 9 at Beckett, it's better than some of the 8s that I'm getting at PSA all the time now. So I just don't know. I don't know what to do. If the next few PSA submissions are like this for me, I'm just gonna say screw it and go to, because I feel like Beckett, you're getting at least one grade higher. Like I feel like in almost every circumstance. Now I don't know how long that's gonna last. I don't know if it's because Beckett wants more market share. That's probably a decent assumption to make. And PSA is maybe getting a little comfortable in the fact that they say, well, we're the leader in Yu-Gi-Oh now, so we can go harder on it. That's another concern.
I think too, like you hit the nail on the head too, with a lot of the Asian collectors and buyers preferring Beckett.
Yeah.
Like I do have a decent Beckett collection for my own. Like I like, full disclosure, I like the Beckett cases more than the PSA cases. I just like the look of the subgrades and how the labels look with like the silver and the gold and the black labels.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that way. I know a lot of people don't like the bricks of a case that they use, but from my perspective, I just like the Beckett labels more.
Yeah, no, I get it. I see the appeal. I mean, and I like the subgrades. That's the thing. I like it drives some people with the OCD crazy because they say, well, I can't have, or the 9.5. The fact that, well, I submit a card and it looks great and it's a 9.5. They will drive them insane because they need the tens. So there's
Yeah.
that. But I don't know. I mean, if these next few submissions really stink, then I'm really thinking of just shooting all those cards over to Beckett, see what happens. At least compare the two and see what happens there.
Well, like I'm waiting for this sub to come back, and if I get a bunch of sixes, sevens, and eights again, I'm just
Oh,
gonna straight up crack them all, send them to Beckett, and just see the comparison.
yeah, yeah, it's
Because
terrible.
like that's just stupid at that point when you're talking non-hollow cards like that. Like I'm not submitting a PSA 4 quality common card from
Exactly.
Piranha Guardian.
Yeah, no.
Who in their right mind is sending in a PSA 4? Like I can't even think of a card name right now. Like no one cares about that set.
That's
Why would I
great.
send in a 4?
Oh my god. Yeah, no. I mean, you should be getting in commons 80% plus tens for sure. You should be getting that.
And like
Hopefully.
I'm not a expert or anything like that, but when traditionally you're getting at least like 2/3 or 3/4 in tens when it comes to non-hollows, and then you go from that to like 25% tens. It's like something's changed. Now, I think it has a lot to do with the new graders, whether they're getting the new graders to do Yu-Gi-Oh and they're stricter, or they're having the older, more stricter graders do Yu-Gi-Oh instead. I don't know, but I do think it is the actual graders themselves. Because grading is subjective, and I think that like if you've got someone who's trained in by like a sports card enthusiast or someone who's been doing sports this entire time and they start seeing things that aren't actually there with these cards, I think that could lead to a lot of the cards that would normally be tens get even eights, like Vintage had. But like Vintage proved in that regrade that all of his stuff were 10 quality because almost everything came back at 10 when he resubbed it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point with the sports stuff too. And ironically, the last submission I had was with sports stuff, so that may have something to do with it. The problem is with the sports stuff. I mean, I was still getting low grades. It's funny. I was looking at the chat, and someone said Carrie Underwood 8, LOL, and then Kanye West, Thug Noodles, Carrie Underwood in any grade is a gem. Don't you dare.
She's a national treasure.
Oh, that was great with the Abe Lincolns and the freaking Barack Obamas. And I mean, I was shocked. I'm like, these should be tens. Like, why am I submitting a Barack Obama and Abe Lincoln card if I'm not looking for a 10 or something?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You have a problem with Barack Obama and Abe Lincoln? specifically in the same sentence.
True, I am undervaluing Abe Lincoln and Barack Obama right now. I better watch my words.
But
Great.
speaking of like Mount Rushmore, what do you think would be the Yu-Gi-Oh Mount Rushmore for cards?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a great question. Well, I guess the chat, someone was asking if a Ghost Rares will keep going up or a Bubble waiting to pop. I think they'll keep going up or at least plateau. So thanks for the question.
They're too hard to grade to not keep going up, especially with how popular they are.
Exactly. Yeah. In terms of the Mount Rushmore, this is tough because you could choose 4 cards, one from each generation, or you can choose 4 kinds, like one of each rarity. You could do like 1 Ultra, 1 Ultimate, 1 Secret. So this is a tough one. I mean, you got to put LOB Blue Eyes up there for me personally. Yeah. I would have to put the first prize card, Cyberstein, up there because it was the first prize card. And that's just, I mean, in terms of value, no, it's not the most valuable. And if we're talking TCG, not OCG, I'm trying to think what else I would probably put up there. Maybe Ghost Stardust up there as well because that's like the face of the Ghost Rares. And in terms of Ultimates, I mean, Shining Flare comes to mind, but I mean, you could also argue like the Sacred Beasts or even the God cards. One could argue like the set of God cards, but that wouldn't be one card.
I super think that the GBI cards are gonna pop off in the next few months.
Really?
They haven't had a whole lot of growth in the last year to 2 years. Like I remember when I got back big into it again about 2 years ago from watching one of old school expert videos. He had his like top 25 most valuable cards at the time, and I had like 6 of his top 10. I was like, what the heck? And I started like looking into it more, and that's what actually got me in the hobby. So I remember like even the secret rare God cards weren't that much cheaper than they are right now. Like their value hasn't, like if you compare it to like LOB or anything like that.
You're right. Yeah, you're
value
right.
of God cards haven't tripled or quadrupled or anything like that.
That's a good point. I mean, I remember selling sets of God cards, really not that, not that much more at all than what they are. You're right. What they are now, it really hasn't gone up, if not gone down. So
yeah, like the secret rare ones you might have gotten like 500 or 600 2 years ago. Now they're what, 8? That's nothing in growth. Right. Most of Yu-Gi-Oh, especially with something as iconic as those 3 cards.
You're right.
And that's not counting the gold God cards because they go for even cheaper.
Yeah, so one of the comments said the GBI pops are like 200 PSA 10s, but honestly, even that though, I feel like, yeah, it's 200, but that means only 200 people can have a set of GBI cards.
Exactly.
And
how many people got into the show or got into the card game because of Battle City with those God cards?
Yeah, I mean, a collection I feel like wouldn't be complete without the God cards. So yeah, I could see what you're saying here. This is quite interesting.
Well, like counterpoint to that, like the starter deck Yugi starter deck Kaiba cards, like they come straight out of the pack, super good condition, same as the God cards, and their prices are significantly higher. Now I know their pop isn't as high, but when you compare just how cheap the God cards are individually, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Like I've got my set from Beckett. Like I'm not planning on hoarding them. So anyone else who wants to, fill your boots. But I do think that that's an underrated, undervalued buy right now.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a valid point, especially when you look at DDS Blue Eyes. It's a card that the pop is out of control. The card is so easy to grade, and yet it's still $3,000. $3,000 plus dollars, and to get a set of 3 God cards for under that is pretty decent. Comparatively, it's all relative, and I feel like you're actually you brought up a great point, is the fact that relatively speaking, we haven't seen growth really in the God cards, and
there is a caveat to that. I noticed the 9s have started going for a lot more, but I haven't noticed the 10s move a whole lot. Like I remember selling Ra, that was a 9 for like $50. a year ago. Like a raw in a 9 now is like 110, 120 maybe.
Mm,
I haven't looked at eBay in a while. So like I do know the 9s have gone up, but the 9s and everything have gone up a lot because people can't afford the 10s anymore.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it might just be people trying to regrade them.
Yeah, because they're easy to grade. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, 200 is nothing. I mean,
No.
comparatively. I mean, it's not what you want to see if you're looking at scarcity compared to other cards, but for the demand, I feel like the demand should outweigh the quantity. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like with the DDS, I know there was two people in particular who had like a quarter or half of the entire population at one point. I think that was part of the reason why DDS spiked as much. But like, I think that's probably what's holding back the God cards is that they're still readily available because people are always buying and selling them
Mm.
because they are so popular. But because there hasn't been a scarcity issue with them, I think that's what's been keeping the prices artificially lowered.
So
So like
what do you think of
I
the
think I think
ultras?
if so, I think that if someone bothered to pump a bit of money into it and bought, I'm not saying buy them all out, but to buy a decent chunk of them, they would see the prices of the cards jump significantly very fast.
Mm. Yeah, that's valid. I think that's a valid point. I think it's a valid
Or
argument.
look at the Metal Raiders cards in the last 3 months. How much
Mm.
have they gone up?
Yeah, yeah.
They've
Time
doubled.
Wizard. Time
They've
Wizard's
doubled.
up. That's for sure. That was a card I was shocked was so low for so long. What was it, 350, 400 for Time Wizard? I mean, that was like an iconic card.
It was stuck at 3 to 350 for over a year, and
Mm.
now it's well over that. Same thing with Summon Skull, Mirror Force, Change of Heart, a bunch of the other ultras from MRD. Like pretty well all the ultras actually. They've all doubled in the last 3 months.
So if you think that the GBI God cards are underrated, right, and you think that they're going to go up, what, in terms of relative pricing, do you think is going to happen with the ultras and secrets? Obviously, you would assume that the secrets would go up exponentially. The ultras would pretty much be lagging behind. Do you think it's a
Yeah.
situation? Also, do you think the reason why a lot of people aren't delving into the God cards is because they have those two rarities, the ultras and the secrets? Or do you think, it's just, you'd have to get both? You'd have to get the secret set, you'd have to get the ultra set. And actually, the Japanese version ones are going up too. The G4 ones are starting to go up. So what do you think is going to happen to the ultras?
I think, and to be honest, I didn't know when I started out that there was two different rarities. So I think part of that is just education and people realizing that there's two of them. I think part of the other problem though is the counterfeiting of them because I know there are some
Mm,
PSA graded counterfeits.
yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
There was someone in particular who was selling a PSA 10 graded copy that was counterfeit, and he didn't even know it was graded or didn't even know it was counterfeit till someone pointed it out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
not gonna name any names because I don't want to embarrass anyone, but I remember that specifically because people were debating whether he did it on purpose or not.
So do you think if there's a jump, you think the secrets are the first to take that huge leap, and then the ultras will kind of rise, but not rise the rate as the secrets?
Yeah, I don't know what the gap will end up being between the two, but I do think that, as Scott likes to say, rising waters raise all boats.
True. That's a very good saying. Let's get
Yeah,
Scott in here. Let's get Scott in the live stream.
I'll get him. I'll get him to come in on my next Patreon call.
He's probably like, what is Yugimon? I don't know, but I know Blue Eyes. it's,
Yeah.
I know Blue Eyes and I know the God cards. He's probably got like all these freaking Yu-Gi-Oh cards that we just don't know, and he's just laughing his way to the bank. That's Scott. Scott's awesome.
Yeah, Scott is awesome. I can't wait to have my chat with him now in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So people are talking about misprints in the chat. They're talking about the Trihorn, the Jinzo jar.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got going on. That's one card. If you talk about a card that I would be hard pressed to give up, it's the Ultra Trihorn. Like that card is insane. I can't see myself ever giving that up.
Oh, I didn't even know
So
you had one, dude.
yeah, no, it's a PSA 2. PSA.
I mean,
PSA 2.
no offense, but you're better off just having it authenticated at that point. Like
You're
anything
right.
under 4, I would just authenticate. That's just me.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, so there's, I don't know. Some people say there's 50, some say there's 100, some say there's more than that, but I don't know. Do you have one of those? The Ultra Trihorns?
No, I unfortunately was never a big misprint guy. Don't
Yeah.
stab me, please.
Yeah. Those misprint people are nuts, man. They'll buy anything.
I love the Facebook misprint group just for the memes.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're crazy, and they have so much money.
Yeah,
just crazy, crazy what they're spending. What about the Jinzo jar? Are you interested in that, or you don't have any interest in
I
that?
mean, I'm interested in the jar just because it's jar, but I'm not going out of my way to try and track down a Jinzo jar. Like it's
Yeah.
cool and everything, but I have other things I'd rather spend my money on, like another Cyberstein.
Yeah, we got to get Tony in here to attribute all this. Like PSA should be attributing the Jinzo jar, I feel like.
They
And
would make so much money just from people reattributing stuff, and then
yeah,
like
they would.
I remember they did the got gold letter Gaia for all of a week. I think there's like 2 of them that got graded, and then they stopped doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the people that haven't graded, they could probably get a huge premium on it. It reminds me in Pokemon, like why would you stop
Yep.
grading the no damage Ninetales and the
Yep.
not for sale, not for sale, but no position, for position only, whatever, Charizard and those other cards.
Yeah,
You know?
no, I've got a no damage Ninetales in right now, actually.
Oh, it's just in a sub, but as a shadowless or something.
Yeah.
Oh
So we'll
god.
see.
Oh god. If it ever got slabbed, that'd be awesome.
Pray for me.
Yeah. PSA's watching right now. You got the guy on his computer just like, oh, we're going to report him now.
How dare you?
Exactly. He's trying to pull a fast one. Give them all ones. Yeah, right. Oh, jeez. So they're talking about black labels. I remember seeing the black label Dark Paladin on eBay. Man, I wish I'd picked that one up.
I offered 2,500 on it, and it sold for 4,000.
Oh, dude, you gotta wonder what that would go for.
That says, "Sorry, you missed out on this. It sold for blank." I'm pretty sure I still have the email. Yeah, I just straight up offered them 2,500, and it sold like an hour or 2 later for 4,000.
Oh my gosh! Or the Dark Magician Girl, the 10, the pristine
Yep.
10. Oh,
I remember that was up. I was like, "Who's gonna pay that for this card?"
yeah.
No, I would pay that in a
Yeah.
heartbeat now.
Oh my gosh! Or I want to see a needleworm. You know, it'd be crazy to see a needleworm go on auction on eBay. That would just be crazy. I would love to see it. I would love to see like what it would go for. Just like get Tony in on it. So I don't know.
Me, dude.
Yeah. So you heading out?
Yeah, I don't want to hold up your time from everyone else. Let someone else get a word in edgewise.
Cool. Nice talking with you again, man. And good luck with the sub. I'm sure we'll talk. So
Perfect. Thanks, Sam. Have a good one.
You too. Have a good one. So yeah, what do you guys think? We had a lot of different discussions there. We had the misprint discussions. We had the God card discussions, which was pretty interesting there. I didn't really think of the God cards because, you know, when something disappears for so long in terms of pricing and price rising, it's just been stagnant for 2 years. He might be right. It might be the opportunity to buy God cards, to buy the gold and the prismatics GBI God cards. I will say, out of the 3 sets, the G4 set, which is the secret rare Japanese version set, that is insane. Like, I will say, just looking at the card, most beautiful of the 3 sets. It's not even close. If you're just looking for aesthetics. Would you pay $18 for a box of Flash Fire? Oh, jeez. No. I don't trust the Pokemon Company not reprinting cards again. I got burnt with Ancient Origins. I had like 4 cases of that. I had 2 cases of Flash Fire. I sold off the Flash Fire at $300 a box after Roaring Skies was reprinted. Sold off to Flashfire. Of course, now I'm regretting it. But what are you gonna do? I was sick of Pokemon Company reprinting crap. Ancient Origins is up to like 180 to 200 a box now, so that's interesting. I might delve into some other X and Y, but I'm not sure yet. I would never buy at 1800. I would just rather buy the PSA 10 secret Charizards instead, rather than 1800 for a box. It scares the crap out of me about the reprint stuff. I mean, I could deal with it holding at 3, 4, 500, but when you're talking buying at 18, if they ever reprinted, that would be a disaster. They don't have a reason to, but just in case. E-Hero Chaos Neos PSA 10. Yeah. The problem with that card from Gladiator's Assault was there's so many blister boxes, and yes, you could pull ghosts from them. So many of those blister boxes were on the market as of 1 to 2 years ago, so a lot of people were pulling pack fresh GLAS cards, and so that's where you're seeing the undervalue. Now, over time, will it spike? I mean, there's a good possibility. So it might be the time to buy right now while most of it's on the market. Is Duelist Saga going up soon? I hope so. I from what I understand, it's the only rarity of the certain cards, the ultra rare DUSA rarity. And then the problem is it's just reprints. There's some cards that came out in that set, but they're not really doing that well. From what I understand, the reprints are actually doing pretty well. It's a reprint set, so I don't buy it too much. So we'll have to see. Hey, what's going on? And what's your name?
I'm Douglas. I'm Yugi Claim Sales on Instagram.
Awesome. Nice to talk with you. And I've seen you on Instagram, Yugi Claim Sales. Yes.
I'm Douglas. Yeah, just calling in just to discuss the price of First Ed ANPR, Stardust Overdrive, and CSOC, and the Genesis.
Okay.
The loose packs, the unscaled packs. I'm not too sure where they are for actual legit unscaled.
Oof, that's tough. I'll be honest with you. That I have not actually even seen a sale in a long time. And I'm sure eBay you've checked, right? There's nothing really on there.
Yeah, there's really nothing, and the only way that you can get them is the pre-release, which I don't think anyone has anymore. Or the tins, and I don't know what's keeping the packs from not exploding in value, because if you get a pack fresh ghost, it's like 2.5 to like $3,000 plus, and you've seen Pokemon packs go for insane value, like over $100 a pack, and that's not even close to base set. Yeah. And the only comparable packs would be LOB First. So, personally, I think these First Ed packs, which only came in tins, will soon, or maybe in a couple of years, be very comparable to LOB First packs, since apparently LOB First seems to be more readily available, pack number-wise, compared to those, because I've seen more packs of those online than those at all. I don't see any of those online. Yeah. I want to know what your thoughts are on this.
Well, the good thing is that since nobody else is even listing them, you have a great opportunity to kind of set your price. I mean, I'm not sure that there's a lot of people out there that even have the unscaled packs. It might be a little difficult. I always hate selling unscaled packs, quote unquote, because even if they're unscaled, you might get a buyer that say, well, I only pulled the super out of it, and whether they bought 2 packs, 3 packs, 4 packs, I didn't get what I wanted. These weren't unscaled, and then you have to deal with the negative feedback potential. You have to deal with the headaches. Personally, I don't even deal with that anymore. If I'm going to sell sealed, I'll sell a sealed box or a scaled pack, just because personally it's just too much of a headache.
What about the tins sealed that they came in? Sealed tins, factory sealed tins, which have the sealed packs.
That would be good. That would definitely be good to sell. Now I'm looking on eBay
because that's guaranteed. You will get a unscaled 5 packs, 2 First Ed and 3 unlimited, but they're all OG GX era packs.
Yeah, and I'm looking on eBay. There was a tin, Montage Dragon tin with 3 packs, 2 First Ed Duelist Genesis. and they were selling them for $100, and they sold out all 9 within probably a week. So that's not too bad. It's not too shabby.
No, it's not. It's not. Like, these tins, in my opinion, will eventually dry up. And then when that happens, whoever has these tins sealed basically has the pack sealed and has them unsealed. And they can set the price wherever they want. Like, the sky's the limit, to be honest. Like, that's just my opinion. This is like some really scarce stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, you could never go wrong holding sealed product. I mean, we see Pharaonic Guardian exploding in price, and that's a set that's, let's be honest, just
Wait,
terrible.
really?
I mean, in the last year. I mean, in the last year, let's say.
Oh, okay.
You know, but it's a set that you open, and what are you really looking for? A lava golem or a
nothing?
You know,
there's nothing in there.
And you see it in Pokemon too. There's sets that you could literally pull the best card, get it graded, PSA 10, and you're still not going to make the money for the box. So holding anything sealed is the way to go. You're going to make more sealed than you probably would for the individual card. Most conscious buyers, as I see in the comments, a good comment was, most conscious buyers are going to just buy the PSA 10 outright, spend the $3,000, whatever it might be, for the 10 instead of gambling. But the fact is, there are so many people that are gamblers that you could basically set your price. You can get your price because people just want to gamble. They think there's that 1%, 0.1% chance of it happening, and that's what people want, and it keeps them going. Not only that, but YouTubers love it too. YouTubers love the ability to open something rare.
Oh, that is very, very true. They will buy stuff just to open it up on the channel, man.
Yeah. So, out of curiosity, how many sealed packs or sealed tins do you actually even have?
I have 10 sealed tins.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to increase my my position in it because I think once the ones online dry up, there aren't going to be any more to hit the market unless someone finds a big ass storage unit with like 100,000. I mean, you never know, right? It's only like 10 years ago. It's not that long.
True. I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, there was a storage unit. I think it was way back that had. It was 80 tournament pack 1 boxes. 80.
80.
Unbelievable.
Did it tank the market like hard?
Oh, I remember. Yeah, after that whole thing happened, I was offered TP1 boxes for $200 a box, $250 a box of TP1.
God, I would have bought that, dude.
Yeah.
What?
And back then, though, like because there were so many on the market, and because this whole rise hasn't really happened, not a lot of people. It took several days for it to sell at the $200, $250 a box, which was
still
crazy.
Pretty fast. That's still pretty fast for that many boxes. Like, I mean, it's some of us really had to go hard.
Yeah. I mean, hindsight is unfortunately 2020, but. One of the comments is saying, which box would reach 1K first, Soul the Duelist or the Lost Millennium? I had got to be Soul the Duelist because Horus...
You have 100% Soul Duelist. But the problem with that box is the cards are ungradable because of the waxing issue.
Yeah.
That and what's that box? The one that's before that? Rise of Destiny? Yeah.
Oh, Rise of Destiny. Oh, it was terrible. The waxing was awful.
They both have the same problems. It's that and Soul of the Duelist. They're horrible.
And God. Flaming Eternity is horrific, too. Horrific.
Oh, yeah. They're all bad. I have no idea what's going on during that kind of printing, dude.
No way.
Their quality control probably sucks. God.
Yeah, I don't even know how there were 10s out there. The 10s out there have to have the waxing. I mean, like the 10s of the ultis.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's some guy that I saw on Instagram who has the full set of Horuses, all 10s. I don't know how he did that with the waxing on the back. Maybe it's like an old cert. I have no clue, but I remember seeing it, and I was like, "Holy crap! Can I buy that?"
Yeah, Trade Natural. I think it was the guy with the golden Magikarp icon.
Yes, it's Trade Natural. Yeah. There, him.
Yeah, he bought it for the 1,000. I think he was the guy that bought it for the 1,000, the set of 3, way back on eBay. And people said, "Oh my God, well, he's crazy. Is that a real sale? Is that a legit sale?" But now, as it turns out, he's laughing his way to
that one card could be like $5,000. That one horse, because it's impossible to grade that card. You can't.
I'm curious to see.
First, fine.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see what it would go for. I want to see more cover ultis go up, and like even the Sacred Phoenix, the Creator, some of these other cards, it's just impossible to grade. I mean, I have the Creator in 10. I bought it way back. I don't even think I checked the back, so I'm gonna have to see if it has that waxing. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's still a tenant and still mint. Like the waxing to us players personally, I don't think it affects the value of the card at all. Only when grading, because it's still near mint to mint if there's no other flaws in it, right?
Yeah, yeah. The thing is with the waxing, like now I feel like it would be it's impossible to grade. I mean, those cards to get a 10, I feel like there's no way anymore that someone could get a 10 on those cards. There's no way.
Yeah. Lastly, there's one other question. It is with the UBP1 Exodia set. That unique secret rare set. You know what I'm talking about? That weird set that came in the game promo.
Yeah, the Ultimate Beginners Pack.
Yeah. Correct. I just have a question. Like, where do you see them going? Like, as in, how do I say graded copies, like graded sets going? Because I don't see any confirmed sales past like $2,000 for the set. But do you think they're capped? Do you think they have room to grow? What's your honest opinion?
That's a tough one. It's a really tough one because in terms of scarcity, it hits the mark. I mean, it's as scarce as possible, you know. But at the same time, the demand, I just don't see it being there because you have the LOB first eds, and the LOB first eds will always be the king of Exodia. You even have the DDS, but that doesn't really compare to the LOB first ed. So it's a niche, very niche set. I think if it's the right guy, if it's an Exodia collector, yeah, you'll do well. But I feel like by the time you find someone that's going to be genuinely interested in buying it for thousands upon thousands of dollars, it's just not worth it. It will definitely get a premium, but I think if you're going to invest in it, I think, it is not the most liquid thing that you'll ever be able to have. It reminds me of the Duelist League promos, which I think are extremely undervalued, with the 4 different color text: the red text, blue text, purple text, green texts. I don't know if you know those.
Mm-hmm.
Those are extremely,
I know those.
they're extremely low priced. I bought a bunch of them way back, and I'm like, why not? And they have grown, but I still feel like they could go up. But at the same time, I understand why they don't, because the niche
aspect.
Same
issue as the UBP1 Exodia is because they're common too. Like they're just common cards with just a different color text. It's a super niche because they're not even foiled. You know what I mean? Like
extremely
it's the same
niche.
issue with those battle pack rares that are like have the black rare lettering. They're rare, but they're still common. Like at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But to the right person, a dark magician girl collector, he might want all the colors. He might want, you know what I mean? Like, and if the pop is like pop 1 to 5 or something, he'll probably pay a premium. Like, you never know.
Exactly. Yeah, It's just about if someone is that extreme. That's the question. I'm sure maybe one day someone will be, so it might be worth it. But it's a long hold, and if you don't have if you have the cash, you know, you might want to put it somewhere else. But I don't know. I mean, it's a tough call. If it's a good price, why not? But it's just so niche. It's tough.
And right before I go, I totally remember this question. It's about the DRO4 power packs. I remember you were selling them for like a lot cheaper than they are now. I just don't understand what's keeping them from hitting the same price as Retro Pack 2 boxes, mini boxes, like $300 a mini box. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think the main reason is Retro Pack 1 hit it off. People love Retro Pack 1. It's a very rare, very expensive. Dark Revelation 1, Dark Revelation 2, Dark Revelation 3, no one gives a crap about. Dark Revelation 4, yeah. So I think part of the reason is, well, Retro Pack already established itself as I guess a brand, or people understand, well, Retro Pack is good. Dark Revelation 1, 2, 3 doesn't matter. So I feel like that hurts the value of 4 because 1 to 3 it's basically crap. Retro Pack 1 kind of led into 2, so that's why people like 2 because of the success of 1. Also, Retro Pack 2, the secrets, let's be honest, they're more nostalgic. You got Blue Eye Shining, you got a Harpy's Pet Dragon. Those 2 alone are probably better than any secret out of DRO4. Not to say the secrets from DRO4 aren't cool, like Kaiba Man and Satellite Cannon, DD Assailant, but They're not a Blue Eyes. They're not a Harpy's Pet Dragon. But I think the main thing is that the discontinuity in that Dark Revelation 1, 2, 3, you didn't have secrets. Dark Revelation 4, you had secrets, and that made it more rare. But there was no continuity. So it's like a sequel to where the original sucked. And I just, I don't see... That's where I don't see the value. Whereas with the Retro Pack 2, the sequel followed up a great, expensive, rare set.
That is true. That is very true. I don't think there's that many DRO4 cards, or correct me if I'm wrong, around over $200 or at all. Because I know Retro Pack 1 and 2 have like Shining Dragon, Dragon Master Knight. They have some crazy cards in there. Oh, yeah, Cyber Harpy Lady. God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Dragon Master Knight's a card that has exploded in value. For PSA 10, I heard the last sale was $1,500. It's insane.
Yeah, $1,500. Yeah. I know a guy with one right now, and he turned down $1,500.
Oh, jeez.
He was offering that. Yeah, oh, Jesus, right, man. Yeah, I think raw ones are going for like, what, $350? Yeah, it's like $350 for a clean near mint. For a PSA 9, I've seen a sale online for $700.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah, it's a PSA 9, man. I don't understand. Double retail? Wow. Holy moly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that's all I had to call and ask.
All right, man. Well, thanks. Douglas, was it? Douglas was your name?
Yep, Douglas. Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for calling and watching the stream. So I appreciate all the questions. And, of course, next time if you want to call in, feel free. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
So a lot of good stuff there. Douglas brought up DRO4. He brought up sealed packs, selling unscaled packs. That's always a challenge. And so let's just see what some of the chat. I got kind of behind on the chat here. Stainless Steel Dark Magicians. I think that was a Dark Magician girl for, I want to say, like 1.5, but that could be totally off. GBI is a heads up. I still haven't gotten my set. Yep. Yeah, you're right. GBI is a pretty good buy right now. E-Hero Chaos Neos we did. Duelist Saga. Yeah, First Ed Dark Magician Girl mailed in an envelope. Yikes. That's all I have to say to that one. Loose packs. Pull rates. LOB. Strike a Neos box. That's awesome. Dark Magician Girl sealed tin. Is it worth it? Maybe. I don't see super growth. But it is Dark Magician Girl, so you can't really... I don't see it dropping. Let's see here. Barrel Behind the Door. Ruxin about to hit 10,000. Congrats, dude. That's awesome. And the video 10,000 subscriber special for Ruxin is going to be awesome, too. Portuguese LOB box is First Ed going to explode in value like the foreign base set. I'm not a fan of foreign, but if they come cheap enough, then I become a fan. Graded sealed boxes should be a thing. Just found out companies grade large consoles. I agree. Grading sealed boxes would be a nice little niche side business. Hope the market Yu-Gi-Oh crashes. It might happen. You never know. FET2 is a joke. Yep. LOP, Ruxin. Petite Moth is undervalued. I don't know if that's like a joke comment or not. Metal Raiders is the best set. It's a really good set. Gate Guardian MRD First Ed. That's been going up lately. Was it like 750 to 800 now? Somewhere in that area. Chaos Neos Effect Misprint has been on the decline. Possibly. It's a niche card, the Misprint Chaos Neos. So always hard to get rid of. You got to find the right guy or girl. Possible to do a 5-way call. Oh, geez. I don't think, unfortunately, calling. It might be through Skype. But unfortunately, through the line, I don't think so. Could be wrong, though. I'll have to look into it. Probably for next time. Thug Noodles. Let's see here. Blue Eyes is a hot seller. Effect Misprint. Portuguese Petite Moth. He wants a Beginner's Pack Exodia. That's awesome. SpongeBob SquarePants cards. One, as crazy as that sounds... I was like, well, there was first edition cards. It lasted like one set. I think it would be cool, but I can't imagine it would be investable. But SpongeBob's cool, so there'd be something I would buy just because. It's so cheap. Retro pack for the sole reason it's rare. Yep, 100%. Blue Eye Shining Dragon. DB1 and DB2, Chris. DB1 and DB2, I'm not a fan of it at all. I think it's just reprints. You may have your occasional cool card, like the Raigeki, I think is an ultra rare in DB1. And then you got like the, I just find it cool. The Swift Guy, the Fierce Knight is an ultra. That's just a cool card. Retro Pack 1, hardest set to grade. Dark Legends Booster Pack. That's a good question. Dark Legends Booster Pack, so much potential, but it just underwhelms. You know, low print run. There might be certain cards that you might see super spikes on. The problem is there's not many more high rarity cards compared to another set. So, let's see. And we have someone else on the line. Nice to have you. Who's on the line? Willie. What's going on, Willie?
I called last time, and I just wanted to give you another call.
Awesome. What are you thinking? What do you want to discuss?
I want to talk about bad sellers.
Okay.
People that that they list items and then you buy from them and then they never sell it, or like you've done other videos where they screw you over.
Oh yeah. Condition the cards and saying near mint.
No. I actually mean like say that like in Yu-Gi-Oh where the big sellers they undercut each other, and then you make a buy. Like in my case, I bought 2 Masked Heroes Ultimate Rares from OTS Pack 1, and I bought them for 20 a piece from Super Special Awesome Cards. And yeah, I mean they never sent it to me, but that was like a while ago. But ever since that happened, in my case, I never bought from them again. I don't know. I mean, you've done videos where you talked about having bad experiences with sellers. So what's your take on that?
Well, the good thing about eBay is if you buy on eBay and they don't send you the item with valid tracking, you can go ahead and open a case on eBay, which would basically ensure that you get your money back. If you get something on eBay that wasn't as described, if you get a box that, let's say, wasn't sealed, if you get a pack that was opened, if you get the wrong item, on eBay you can go ahead and say this wasn't as described, and then you could return it to the seller, whether the seller agrees or not, unfortunately. So it's kind of a bad deal for sellers if they actually sent the right item. But if you do get quote-unquote scammed on eBay, pretty much you're covered. You won't really have a problem. It's more of a hassle. It's more of a headache. You got to go through all the process. You got to wait a few weeks for eBay to make the decision. Inevitably would be in your favor if it wasn't as described or you didn't get the item. But, it's just like a big, long process.
Well, in my case, you could tell it was malicious because once I did the order, it updated with the tracking, right? And then even when I would go back and check on the tracking, eventually after about a week or 2 weeks, they just said, "Oh, sorry, the item got destroyed, so USPS they send it back, and here's your money back." But I know that basically they bought the tracking, then probably canceled the order, and then just basically I mean, what I can see is that they were just undercutting each other, and then when someone did the purchase, they just canceled it. I don't know if they have like an automated system where they just keep undercutting each other just to make the sale, and once the sale hits, then they just back out of it. But that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, luckily, it was 2 years ago, so you haven't had a bad experience in the last 2 years with that. I'm thinking what you're saying is...
I've never purchased from Super Special Awesome Cards. I mean, like, whenever I would go and do a purchase, and if I see it's from them, I just completely back out of it, because...
Yeah.
Because, once you get screwed over by them, and you never want to do business with them again.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. So, yeah, the good thing is if you stick to eBay, you'll be fine. eBay, you can have pretty much protection on anything as long as it's a valid reason. I also recommend recording you opening your packages. It's always a good thing. A lot of people don't do it. I don't know why they don't do it. But especially if it's an expensive item, you want to record that and make sure when you open the box, when you open the package, that it is as described, because they might say, well, this wasn't what I sent. I sent something differently, and then you got a whole problem on your hands. So I recommend that.
Tim, I have a question about making, well, I have two questions. One deals with taxes and eBay, and the other one deals with making big sales on eBay and how confident you are that those sales would be, like, I guess there will be safe sales. I'm talking about sales over, I would probably say $300, because you know that the eBay PayPal system screws over the seller, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how confident are you when you're selling big price items that you won't get screwed over?
Well, the good thing is that, I keep all the receipts, whether I go to the post office, you know how they have the online tracking and they could just scan it. I keep all the receipts. I've had a situation where I sent something to somebody. 4 months later, they had a chargeback on the account, which means they claim that they didn't make this transaction, that someone else kind of did, or the credit card was hacked or whatever it might be. A chargeback on the account. And so I had the receipt from USPS from 4 months before and said, here's what I sent them. And then also keep in mind, tracking numbers are on the receipt. It has the date. It has the time that you sent it. It's also, if you do sell something very expensive, if you sell something extremely expensive, you want to record actually.
How expensive? Well, how much are you talking here? Over $1,000?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to record something, record yourself packaging it, showing the condition, here's the card, in case they were to go and say that this is a problem with the card. The good thing about what I sell typically is it's already graded stuff, so I don't have to worry about a raw card getting damaged in transit. I don't have to worry about a raw card, the guy getting it and not being as he expected. If it's graded already, there's not much a buyer could really do at that point. Maybe they could say, well, there's scratches on the case, but at that point, I'll take it back, and it's not a big deal, and I'll still get my original item back. So that's the biggest concern. That's why I always sell graded.
Okay. Well, how did eBay rule with you in that case, where the buyer ends up opening the case after 4 months? Did they rule in your favor or against you? Because, they typically always go against the seller.
They do. You want to keep all the receipts. The receipt was basically my ticket to say, okay, I sent it on this day. It weighed this amount. Here's the tracking number, and I did everything I could to send the item. It showed delivered. That helped. If it shows delivered on a seller's end, if you sell something, the tracking shows delivered. They say I don't get it. Well, it's a done deal. If it shows delivered, a seller is safe. If the buyer says, well, it's not as described, then it's going to be a lot tougher for a seller to combat that. But the good thing is I sell stuff pretty much to where if it's a graded card, yeah, you could say it's not as described, but it's a graded card, so I don't know what you'd really be able to do to it. Secondly, if you return it, I still get a graded card back. It's not like I get a different card back, And I have had a situation where I think what happened was I sent the guy a card, and the guy sent it back. And he said, I don't want it anymore. He was just, because I have free returns on my eBay. He said, I don't want it anymore. So I said, okay, just send it back. And this was after like a week. And obviously I wasn't really happy about it. But the card came back totally scratched to all. Like the case was just scratched to oblivion. It was like it went through a washing machine. And I said, look, this is going to cost me $30 to re-encase. And he's like, no, I'm not going to pay that, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually eBay sided with me to give a refund aside from $30. So I got $30 credited to the account because I showed eBay. I said, here's the photos. This isn't what I sent. Here's all the scratches on this case. It's ridiculous. So yeah, and it helps if you're a top rated seller. It helps if you're a power seller. It helps if you have thousands of feedback, positive feedback. That also goes into consideration when they look at a case rather than if it's a seller with 3 feedbacks on their account.
Okay. What about taxes on eBay? Because now you know that basically in all the states that they're charging sales tax, right? So when we go do taxes, is that like a double whammy? Pay sales tax, and then when you do your own taxes, it's also income tax, or how does that, or Do you have an idea how that works?
The state tax, again, I usually just give all this crap to my accountant, but the state tax typically, the buyer pays, at least in the tri-state area, around 7% extra for the sales tax now, because obviously, as you know, eBay requires people or buyers to pay tax on items now. If you are a resale business, which I have a resale certificate, that allows me to buy anything on eBay without the sales tax because it's with the intent to resell. So luckily, I don't have to pay sales tax on what I'm buying to resell.
How do you get that? How do you get that certificate? Do you apply for it?
Yeah, you would have to be a registered business, of course, with the IRS, registered business with the State Department, and then you would have to fill out all these forms, send it out to the state, and then they would kind of confirm that, and then go to eBay. There's an option on eBay to kind of give them your resale certificate, which I believe is an ST50. I believe that's the certificate. So that allows you to buy things without tax, but obviously if you're going to buy it, you have the intent to resell it. So when you do collect the tax, if someone buys something from me and pays the 7%, that 7% goes back to the state that I'm residing in or that I've sold the item to. So let's say I'm selling in California, the percentage would go back to California when you file your taxes to the state. So you have to pay that back.
Wait, so I'm pretty sure that right now all the sales tax that if you make a sale, it automatically already is taken by eBay. Is it not?
Yes, but you would still have to report that to the local state government that you sold it. You'd have to say your state sales. So let's say you're in New York and you sold to somewhere in New York. You would have to report that to the state of New York that said, I've had this much sales to New York. And a great point on the chat here. Yes, there are certain states that do not require to pay taxes when purchasing on eBay, like Florida would be one, which is actually a really cool perk. But yes, there are states. The tax rate depends on the state. So Florida's got a big advantage if you're buying because you don't have to pay the taxes. So that's a really, really good perk there. So everyone move to Florida, get some nice weather in.
Okay. Well, I would just want to give one shout out to Vintage Yugioh.
Awesome.
Because he sold me a morphine jar. I believe it was between 120 and 130 back in 2016. It was near mint in the front, and in the back it had some edgeware, but I'm very thankful for that purchase I made.
Ooh, Vintage Yugioh. I don't think he's in right now, but hopefully he watches this. This is I know he's got like crazy stuff. I'm sure he's regretting that sale too. But yes.
Yeah.
Very
I
crazy.
told him about it. He says he's made a lot of good deals, but that's good for him.
Yeah, and he's a great guy too. So good to see you guys made a nice deal. So thanks for the call. I really appreciate it, man. Good questions as well.
No problem. Thank you, Tim.
Have a good one. So again, nice questions. I like it. We're getting all different kinds of questions, whether it be involving. I'm not an accountant. I can't, obviously answer to the full extent. I just throw that to the accountant, and they kind of do it for the money I pay them. But we've had some great questions tonight, whether it be involving taxes, whether it be involving sellers, buyers, and also, the discrepancy between buyers and sellers on eBay in the form of, well, sellers don't have that much protection, and that's the truth, unfortunately. Sellers have a big target on their back when it comes to eBay, so you really got to cover your butt when you're selling. I don't think I'll trade the taxes for hurricanes. I'm good. That is true. That's very true. But you do get some good weather, so if you could avoid the hurricanes, maybe go in like central Florida, you might be all right. I love warm weather, so that's just me. Let's see here. Anything else down the chat list? Let's see what we got here. I remember someone was mentioning SGC as a grading option. Yeah, it's just so small compared to BGS and PSA now, compared to what it was. Retro Pack 1, we're back on that. It was a Euro exclusive, yep. Though DRO4, I believe, was North America exclusive. Being a seller on eBay is horrible. Yes, I agree with that. Okay. Ultra Prism. Yeah. As a buyer, you have a lot of power. I mean, I guess the lasting thing here to know is, here's all you need to know. A buyer can leave negative for a feedback for a seller, and a seller cannot leave negative feedback for a buyer, which makes 0 sense. I mean, let's be honest. It makes no sense. How can a seller not ding a buyer who buys an item and never pays? Or a buyer that gets an item in and always complains, or always says, this isn't what I ordered, or always gives a refund because he buys it, or he or she buys it and has second thoughts. That's all we need to know. And I don't understand what went through eBay's mind to say sellers are no longer able to add negative feedback to buyers, but the vice versa can happen. Yeah, you know, it's just ridiculous. Premium Pack 1 and 2 Secrets, yeah, they're cool. Maybe First Ed, Black Magician of Chaos, or whatever it might be, is pretty cool. Sub Cardboard Collector. Yep, DR04 is only North American. How much more do you think a gold label BGS 10 should cost in comparison to a PSA 10? Real tough question. In the sports card industry, it really can vary. I would say a BGS 10, I mean, you're talking could be 1.5 to 3.5, maybe even 4 times what a PSA 10 would be. You know, which is just, it's absurd. It's kind of one of those things that's so rare, you kind of can ask your own price, but, you know, it is very, very rare. First edition when they're not, yeah, that's true. Premium Pack 2 Secrets are great. Targets the rarity market and e-hero market. Interesting. Oh, it looks like Thug Noodles or Kanye West 315 says 2 times the amount for a BGS 10 than a PSA 10. Ooh, I mean, I guess it depends on the card. I personally, I think it's, you know, 1.5 to 2 times to 4 times even. I've seen obscure numbers. Let's see. It's because we have eBay and we have no. Yeah, eBay is tough. I mean, it's tough. The fees are really rough. You know, the selling platform itself isn't too great. Although the ability to print labels is nice. The ability to track purchases and to get feedback, it's pretty nice too. As long as you get positives as a seller, you can't leave negatives for buyers. I've had so many buyers that are just buffoons that you can't even. You could report a buyer and eBay does nothing about it. I've seen accounts where they're at under 50% positive feedback, 50% or less. You're talking out of 20 feedbacks, 10 are negative, and they still keep their account on eBay. I just don't understand. Like, I really don't understand how the account's still on eBay. As a seller, like, they're a seller, they don't ship items out, and they got 10 negatives, and they're still on eBay. Let's see here. If buyers get negative, they are less likely to buy. True. If buyers get negative, they're less likely to buy, but at the same time, if sellers get negative, they're less likely to sell on eBay, which the main source of income for eBay is sellers selling items, and of course buyers have a big part to doing that. Without any buyers, you can't sell anything, so it's kind of a two-way system, which it was why I think it should be a two-way feedback system. BGS 10, kind of at the mercy of the seller. Yep, the only chance of owning one. Feedback means nothing. All right, I like it. So we are closing in on over 2 hours now. So wow, it has been a quick call-in show. It's gone very fast. 44 of you guys watching. So we have another caller here. How's it going? Good.
One, I'm looking to. Well, first off, do you think the spike in the price market right now? Do you think that's going to hold like within the next couple months, or what do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough call. I think, as someone else mentioned in another comment, they said a lot of it depends on what happens with this whole unfortunate pandemic that we're facing right now. If it kind of stirs up again in the fall, then we're in for some trouble probably. If it doesn't, we might be okay. But you're talking about growth that's unprecedented. It's just so hard to imagine that it can go even higher. I see it more of a plateau, or at least just cooling off. And by the way, what was your name again? I don't think I got your name, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. My name's Drew.
Drew, awesome. Well, nice. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so BGS 9.5 versus PSA 10. How do you feel about that?
PSA 10 definitely above a BGS 9.5. I know in the sport card industry, you're talking like a 1.5 point to 2 times multiplier, a PSA 10 over a 9.5. Depends on the card too. If it's older, if it's more valuable, the PSA 10 could be worth almost 3 times what a Beckett 9.5 is worth. So it all varies. Yeah, and it depends on the card. Like there are certain cards out there, let's say Injection Fairy Lily, I guess would be a good non-sport Yu-Gi-Oh comparison. The card is always off center. There's going to be a lot more 9.5s than there will be PSA 10s just because of the centering issue. Or you look at a Ghost Rare from a Blue Eyes Gold Series 5 Ghost Rare. The surface is always messed up. You'll probably have a lot of 9.5s with 9 surface subgrades rather than any PSA 10s. So in instances like those, I feel like the premium for a 10 is going to be so much higher than the 9.5 because the 9.5, well, it's the tough grade to get. It still has probably a 9 on a subgrade that is typical of a PSA 9. So a lot of people pay premium. And unfortunately, I don't like the trend we were going on here with PSA being king. But at the same time, it's a tough one because you want to see the value of your cards go up. But at the same time, their standards have changed midway, it seems like, through this process.
Yeah. All right, last thing for you. So I've been opening cards a little while, but now I'm looking into making some serious purchases, like graded. And so, do you feel DDS? Like I'm picking either like a starter deck Kaiba, because I love the original artwork on the Blue Eyes, or the original like starter deck Dark Magician versus the DDS. What do you think? I mean, obviously the DDS Blue Eyes is more valuable now, but do you think that's going to stick like in the long run, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's the golden question. I feel like that's the question that, unfortunately, people have been wondering for the last 2-3 years, and there hasn't been a clear-cut winner. It looked for a long time like DDS was going to be the one, and then SDK came roaring back, and then DDS went up a little bit, and lately SDK is now up past 3,500. So at this point, SDK or SDY is the better option of the two in terms of value, but I think in the long run, my personal belief is to go DDS just because aesthetically it looks better. I think in terms of the rarity aspect, the LOB is on its own level, but when you're looking at the second tier, I think a lot of people, including myself, prefer a prismatic over an ultra. Some people argue that the Ultra has the more gritty, nostalgic feel to it because they remember the decks more when they were playing, so there's that to consider. But overall, I feel like if you're gonna buy a Blue Eyes, and if you had one Blue Eyes to take, I feel like most people, 80% plus people, I feel like they would buy the DDS because that's just more aesthetically pleasing. It is easier to grade. Yeah, it's easier to grade, but at the same time, it's just... And it's not first tier. At this point, we're kind of out of the realm of, okay, it's rare. The LOB is the king of the crop. Now you're talking the second tier. And I think when you start talking second, third, fourth tiers, people start to look more at the aesthetics than they do of the actual, not rarity of it, but just, I don't know. I just think if you had one to choose and you had 3,000, I would take the DDS. And I think a lot of people would agree. So I think the demand is just going to outweigh the supply.
Yeah. Yeah, and now that I'm picking your brain, just because I'm curious, because I know you're definitely into all this. How do you feel? Do you collect PSA 9s, or are you only like PSA 10, or how do you feel?
PSA 9s drives me crazy. I just can't. I mean, I'll deal with a 9 if I have to. Like, if I see a 9, I'm like, I really want it, but like there's something about paying the extra money for the 10, especially if it's like a really expensive card to where you're like, all right, I'm spending thousands of dollars on this 9. Like, should I just wait or just save more just to buy the 10? And typically it's more rewarding just to buy the 10. And also with future value, a lot of 10s go up exponentially. A lot of 9s go up slowly, which isn't a problem, but it's just, you're getting more bang for your buck if you can get the 10, but you're also putting more capital in on the 10. So personally, in my collection, I prefer the 10s. But obviously, money isn't an infinite, thing. So What about you?
Of course,
Are you new to collecting, or are you just?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yes, I am. So I am like, so I've been opening crazy. I have, I've spent like, literally, I've gone nuts. I watched all the animes, like, well, up to 5Ds, and then now I've been crazy. I've sold on eBay now, but I spent like $20,000 on opening. I've got back about 15. I've been pretty lucky on eBay, but now I want to actually collect some stuff, and I don't know what to do. You know, I want to buy these PSA 10s, but right now the market is like at an all-time high, so I'm kind of stuck. Like, do I wait a couple months to actually buy like a DDS Blue Eyes or something, or do I, you know what I'm saying, or do I just pull the trigger right now? So
you said you spent 20,000 on sealed product and you got 15,000 back.
Yeah, I got about 15 back.
That is actually very impressive. Did you sell like all the commons and everything? Did you really hustle to get the 15 back? Because that's actually not a bad return on 20,000 in sealed product.
It's not bad. I have all the commons sitting around, and I'm kind of like debating whether I just sell them all in bulk. I mean, I know I'd lose a ton of money, or I do the stuff where, you know, you sell a lot of 10, or, you know, with some ultras and some secrets or whatever. I'm kind of debating on that if I actually want to deal with that. But yeah, but mostly I've just sold, you know, the expensive cards, and I'll sell a play set, you know, together and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I recommend obviously sticking to the originals. You know, you're always going to want to buy Blue Eyes first. You want to buy, as crazy as it sounds, the more expensive stuff first to get out of the way, because typically the more expensive stuff goes up to even higher levels quicker. And when it grows like that, then you're going to kick yourself for buying the stuff that wasn't as much in demand. So you want to save, if you're going for a set, you want to buy the Jinzo of the Pharaoh Servant first, and then move on to the Buster Blader, Thousand Eyes Restrict, and then continue on downwards. It's tougher, but at the same time, I think you're gonna feel rewarded for it. So
yeah. So would you think right now? Do you think I should, I guess like I said, it's kind of a bad time to hop in right now with the market that's high. Would you think I should wait like a month or two or whatever, or a couple months to buy some PSA 10s, or would you know what I'm saying, or
yeah.
Do you think I should pull the trigger?
It's so tough. I mean, it's like the stock market. It's, you know, a lot of people say you can't time the market, and in this case, you really can't, because I never expected the growth like this. It's just unbelievable growth in the last literally 2-3 weeks. Every week I go on eBay and I'm seeing just massive growth. It's hard because also with what's going on, I worry that in the long run, in the next 2, 3, 4 years, there could be an economic downturn, at least in the United States. The unemployment rate's so high. We were bailed out by a stimulus, and that's a temporary Band-Aid on a bigger issue. I don't know. I mean, I think there's too much risk to be buying at high prices right now. But again, if I said that 2 weeks ago, I would look like a fool, because 2 weeks later, it's still going up. So it's one of those things that's impossible to predict. But if it were me and I were in your position, I would wait for the stuff to hopefully plateau, if not go down. But that's, again, I can't, you know, that's really tough to say.
Exactly. Awesome. Hey, well, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. It's not too many people. I mean, maybe a couple. I don't personally play Yu-Gi-Oh, so since I collect, I meet a few people, but I don't meet a lot of people that are, you know, willing to spend thousands of dollars on a card. So it's tough to, you know, there's not a ton of people to talk to about that.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it, but at the same time, you look at art and you say people are spending $1 million on a piece of art, and the rest is history there. So it's tough. And another thing about cards is that the supply will always be dwindling. They're never going to put out more first edition Blue Eyes. Unlike a stock even. You look at a stock and you're like, okay, I'm buying it, but the supply of a stock will always be there. The supply of cards is just going to continue to go down. So as long as the demand remains the same, the prices should continue to go up. If the demand were to go up, the prices will skyrocket. If the demand goes down, then is where you get a little nervous. And the only concern I feel like with trading cards in general, there's two concerns. One is the longevity of the game, the popularity of the game, the future of the game. When I look at Pokemon, I say, okay, that's locked in. There's kids playing Pokemon cards. There's kids playing the games. Yu-Gi-Oh, I get a little more dicey. Magic the Gathering's even more dicey. But that's the biggest thing. And then also the counterfeiting and technology. If there's a way for technology to counterfeit a piece of cardboard exactly the same way it was manufactured, the price of these things will just dwindle. But here's the thing: people have been trying to do it for 30 years. They just never done it. But who knows? I mean, you can't beat technology. So that's the biggest concern. Huge concern there.
Definitely. Have you ever dealt with somebody that's like a fake PSA card or a fake PSA 10, something like that?
A fake PSA 10. The worst I've heard was in the sport card industry, where people were actually there was a Yu-Gi-Oh card, now that I think about it, where someone cracked open a PSA 9 Blue Eyes, which in itself was worth thousands of dollars at the time. They somehow slipped in a PSA 10 label. I don't know how that was even possible. I know in the sport card industry, someone actually manufactured their own PSA 10 label with its same serial number that they saw a PSA 10 have a few years before. They manufactured the label. They kind of cracked the case in a way to where they slipped the label in. They took the old label out, whether it be a PSA 8 or 9. They put the 10 in and tried to sell it as a 10, which I found was like unbelievable. I don't know how people, first of all, have the time to do this and just have like the morals. Like how can you morally just do that? And it's like card trimming. In the sport card industry, people trim cards. They take this large cutter, and then because of a corner, if it has like whitening on it, unlike a Yu-Gi-Oh card, sports cards are typically sharp rather than rounded, so it's kind of like a square rather than an oval on the corner.
Yeah.
And so they'll take a cutter and they'll just go down the edge, and it'll be razor sharp. Now they do it so slightly to the point where they probably cut something the size of like a hair strand, like in thickness, but it's just enough to get that little white edge, like the little white edge out of the pack, just out of it. And now PSA has been trying to counteract that. So that's a whole nother problem in the sport card industry.
Yeah.
Luckily, with Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon, they're rounded corners. Even the Magic the Gathering, they're rounded corners. So it's almost impossible to pull that off.
I gotcha. Hey, well, thanks a lot, Tim. You've been a lot of help, man. I really appreciate it.
You got it, man. I appreciate you calling in.
No problem, man. You have a good one.
You too. Have a good one. So another interesting call there. Yeah, not good stuff. Not stuff you want to hear. Not good. Counterfeits, scams, frauds, the stuff you really hate to see in an industry. But when you get to an industry where things are so expensive, you got to consider all this stuff. And there's always thieves looking to make some money off of it. So that's the real concern. As things really get more popular and more expensive, someone's going to make more off of it. So... And hello. Hello? Who is this?
Your secret admirer?
My secret admirer on the line.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh, but I love you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. I'm going to let you go back to your Yu-Gi-Oh now. Have fun. I love you.
I love you too. What's your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card?
Oh, Dark Magician Lady.
Dark Magician Lady?
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe you could call in next time and we could discuss Dark Magician Lady again.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a few forms of Dark Magician Lady, so we'll have to get.
Oh, I'd love to hear about them over a romantic candlelit dinner.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks for calling, Secret Admirer. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I just got a quick question.
Sure.
How much do you think it costs to make these cards, these Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
How much do you think it costs to make these Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Honestly, I couldn't give you a guess. I couldn't tell you. I would assume it's cents, if not less than cents on the dollar. I mean, you're talking about a company that's probably mass producing these things, huge machines, the ability to assembly line this whole process and streamline this whole process. There's no way for me to tell you, but I would assume it's literally decimal point cents. It's not even 1 cent a card. I feel like it's less than that.
So making these cards for less than 1 cent, and they're probably selling a pack from like 10, 15 bucks a pack or something.
Yeah, well, about $4 current packs. Current packs are about $4.
That's crazy, man. They're making bank.
Yeah.
It's basically just cardboard and with a little printed on picture, slapped painted on picture or something, mass produced like you said, and they're selling millions. It's just like Pokemon. I used to have the Pokemon cards, and same thing. That they're probably mass producing it, selling it for, oh, the Charizard. This one has holograms, so it's worth more. But really, just they spray paint on some glitter or something, and all of a sudden this is $50 now. That is such a ripoff, man. They're ripping these people off. I don't like it.
So what's your
I
name?
mean?
Yeah, no, I understand. What's your name? I didn't get your name.
Kevin.
Kevin. Well, thanks for calling, Kevin. I think there's a bunch of people with pitchforks in the chat box ready to slay the call right now. Defending the cardboard. But no, I get what you're saying. It doesn't make sense, right? You're buying a piece of cardboard with art on it that wasn't even painted. It wasn't even drawn, but it was drawn, right? But it was then printed on the card. So it's not hand-drawn, like in the form on a card. It's not necessarily art. But the same thing could be said about a comic book, right? Comic books were mass-produced. Do you agree with that about comic books? Do you not like comic books either?
No, it's not that I don't like these things. It's just I feel like they shouldn't be as expensive. Yeah, comic books, that's a good example. When you're talking about collector's item, I could see that. Like, okay, there's only this one. There's only like 3 in circuit, so that's why this is really expensive. So I could understand that, but that's kind of the way it is for Yu-Gi-Oh cards too, right? The rare ones, the ones that aren't made anymore, are not being produced. Those are the really expensive ones. Those are the rare ones. And the ones that are first still being produced, and those are the cheap ones. Is that how it works?
Yeah, typically the ones that are more expensive and the ones that go for crazy amounts on the resale market, those are the ones that are like really tough to pull out of packs. Some even are like 1 in 300 packs. Some are 1 in 200 plus packs. You know, it kind of depends what it is. And not only that is the fact that they're very hard to get in perfect shape. You know, like they might come out of the pack with a ding on a corner, or they might come out of the pack scratched. And so people will pay more money because they say, okay, well, it's very difficult to attain. So think of it like a rare comic book or something like that, or even like a rare video game. Let's say there's video games out there that they didn't produce many video games. And I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's been so many video games that kind of stunk when they were released. Like the demand for them was really low. So the company produced so few of them. And ironically, some of the worst video games in history are some of the most expensive video games in history because they just didn't produce a huge amount of them. So simple supply being low and collectors wanting to collect the cards, that's where you're getting those prices from.
Okay, so some of them are still being produced, the expensive ones, but the company pretty much determines which ones are the more expensive ones. Like, they still producing them, and they're saying that this one's rare because we're not going to put as many out, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I know, like, let's say, for example, there's certain sets, right? So, like, there's, think of it in sports cards. There's a 1989 set. There's a 1990 set, 91, 92, 93. There's a bunch of different sets, and once the set is done with production, once they stop printing them, then it's finished. And there's first edition prints of them. So once those first edition prints leave and they're stopped in production, let's say 5 years down the line, people say, "Oh crap, I didn't have a chance to buy the first edition one," and they go to buy it now, and it's worth so much more because they can't get it anymore. The company's not printing it anymore. They're on to their newest, shiniest set, which typically that newest, shiniest set was going to go up 5 years from now too, because they're just not going to make anymore. So once they stop making them, then they kind of go up in value.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's similar to art, though. You know, art, they kind of it's just whatever's people taste. If they got people that like this stuff, they want to buy it, then they could set it at a price that's high. Pretty much up to
Exactly.
the consumer supply and demand, like you said. Thanks for answering my question. I'll let the next guy on. Take it easy.
No problem, Kevin. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for answering my question.
Hey, how's it going?
Yo.
How's it going?
Hello?
Yeah, who do we got on the line?
Let's get.
What's going
Yeah,
on?
you can call me Vermicelli. This is Vermicelli.
Vermicelli?
Yeah, Vermicelli.
What's going on, Vermicelli?
Pretty good. First off, I want to give 2 shout-outs if that's cool with you.
Sure.
Shout out number 1, James Sullivan back there, looking pretty sexy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a 1 of 1 right there.
Number 2, shout out to the boy Ruxin, hit 10K. In case you didn't know, everyone knows, but
Ruxin, what a champ. This guy is going to carry the Yu-Gi-Oh community forward.
yeah, dude, I'm gonna have to get his autograph sooner or later.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
All right, so I just want to call in because I want to know your thoughts on a particular card in MRL. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Blue Eyes Toon.
No. That card is way too hyped.
Labyrinth Wall.
Any other guesses? Any other guesses?
Slot Machine.
Hell to the no, my boy. All right, I'll just spill the beans right now. Twin Long Rods number 2. Have you ever looked at this card?
No. I'm
Right,
gonna look it
Twin
up
Long
now.
Rods number 2. So it's an MRL card, and so Twin Long Rods number 1, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So
what
that
happened
in
to number 1?
itself, that in itself should just, I don't know, it's self-explanatory. Like why haven't people bought this card out yet?
And you know what's crazy? You could buy it right now for $1.
Bruh.
We
Yo,
could
Chad,
buy this.
go
We
crazy
could buy
on
this out.
Go crazy on this card.
Everyone
Let's
could
do
buy
it.
this
Buyout
out. If
gang.
every person in the chat bought one, we already take was a 53 watt. We take 53 off the market. Everyone buys 3 for $1. We spend $3 each. We just took 150 of these things off the market.
I like the way you think, my boy.
That's
I like
not
the way
bad.
you think.
That's not bad at all. Especially with eBay
So,
bucks.
yeah.
I'm collecting eBay bucks.
And just the name of that card is it just rings, man. It just rings. Twin Long Rods.
Twin Long Rods number 2. And his face,
Yeah, dude.
like, yeah. Yeah, he's a very
Anyway.
sexy looking card.
Exactly. So I just want to shed some light on my wild card, if you will.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm glad that you're in agreement. So let the buyouts begin.
Absolutely. Good stuff. If anyone has a black label, I'm paying. Let me know.
Bro, not unless I get to it first. You better calm down. All right. Talk to you later, Tim.
All right. Have a good one. What a great tip. What a great tip. Twin, what is it? Twin rods number 2? Twin long rods. Twin long rods number 2. That's a fantastic looking investment. Everyone go buy it out. 5 each. We're going to buy out 250 of them if we each get 5 for $5. Okay, Toon World. That's actually an interesting point of discussion. Toon cards. Toon Summon Skull. Toon Mermaid. Toon World. You know, there's a lot of Toon cards that have actually gone up in value. So that is quite interesting. Something to watch, because MRL was always a set that was never expensive. But finally, we're starting to see some prices go up, but then again, across the board. Ojama Brother? Yes, Ojamas are awesome. Ojamas are very awesome. So, we're going to give it another, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes. And I thank everyone for joining in. 53 people joining in. 15 to 20 minutes. We'll take a few more calls. We'll have to make them short and sweet. And then we'll wrap this up. So, anyone else have any other questions For me, for solely on the side here, I pulled a Room Summon Skull Emerald E from a first sealed VHS tape. Oh, that is bizarre. Sealed VHS tape. Oh, kind of interesting. You should clip these and become the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dave Ramsey. I love Dave Ramsey. I will say he's a little bit too conservative with his thinking personally, but then again, he's like a millionaire, so who am I to say? I mean, this guy has made it. He is always like, no debt, no debt, no debt. I live a bit more on the risky side and say, I'm going to leverage some money if I can, but that's just me. We got another call coming in. Going to wrap this up in about 15 minutes, you guys. Last question. Last thoughts, concerns, market discussion. Let's see. I opened up a couple tins the other day. They were not in good condition. The cards were not in good condition, or the tins? I assume the card, right? Pale Rider, what's going on, dude? Let's see. Why is Dark Paladin so underrated and cheap? Yeah, it's just a reprint, man. That's basically it. Unfortunately, Paladin has so many different prints. Even the DMG, the Duel Master's Guide, Secret Rare isn't even worth that much, unfortunately. Will this be uploaded to the channel? If not, no worries. I had a pretty good stream. It was interesting. We had a lot of characters on, which was fun. Very fun time. Memorable card of all time? Exodia Necros. Always was my favorite cards. We have another call coming in, and it is actually an unknown person. So this is gonna be interesting. Hello, unknown person with no phone number.
Yeah, hi. My name's Garrett. How you doing?
How's it going?
I'm good, man. Hey, so yeah, I've been watching your channel for a little while. Yeah, so you're big on GX, right? Like you're saying GX could pop off one day, and I mean it kind of already has to a certain extent. But I was wondering, what do you think about some of like the lower tier GX cards, like some of the spells and the traps, the first ed. I feel like the stuff is really rare, and I feel like one day, I mean maybe not the next few years, maybe like 10, 20 years, I feel like the stuff is going to be extremely valuable with regards to set collecting. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I agree. I mean, anything ultimate rare is going to be tough to get. Now, that's basically where you hit the nail on the head. You're only going to want to sell to a set collector. There's not going to be a lot of people lining up for just a random spell or magic or trap card, just an ultimate rare. Those will be the last ones to probably rise. If you're in it for the long term, if you're in it for the 10-year span, then I think it's a great buy. If you're in it for the next year to 2 years, forget about it. I think that, yeah, they might go up a little bit, but you really have to have a big-time demand for something like that. Now, even better if you can score PSA 10s. If you score PSA 10s, there might be people crazy enough out there to go for an ultimate rare PSA 10 set, but at this point, it's almost impossible to do. You can't go wrong. 1 in 12 pack odds, extremely tough to grade or find in good condition, extremely expensive boxes. Whenever boxes are crazy expensive and the cards, as you notice, are very undervalued compared to the box price, there's always room for growth and opportunity there, I think. It's not going to be the home run hitter like the ultimate rare cover card, but I think there's definitely a few bucks to be made, and it might take a long time, but if you're willing to wait, then I think it's a good buy.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks, man. You hit on a point. Okay. The stuff that's really expensive sealed product. So I've been wondering for a while, and I want to know your opinion. What do you think of first edition Diffusion Wave Motion? First edition Diffusion Wave, because those boxes are crazy expensive. First edition Magician's Force, crazy expensive. I mean, I shouldn't say crazy expensive, but when you look at it, I mean, it's second only to Legend of Blue Eyes in terms of TCG box value. So, but I've noticed the price is really low on that card. What are you thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Low price raw, but unfortunately a very high price. Well, not very high, but high enough in PSA 10. I don't know if you've been tracking the PSA 10 prices. PSA 10s are about $400 to $500, which is a lot considering it's a magic card that really was worthless and did absolutely nothing. It was one of the worst secret rares I think I've ever seen. But you're right. The only reason it's sticking at 400 to 500 for a 10 is because the set collectors and the secret rare collectors want it. If you're going to buy raw cards, I think it's not a horrible buy. I mean, it's certainly not terrible. If you're going to just stockpile diffusion wave motions, you could do a lot worse. Same goes with Invader of Darkness, which is the Invasion of Chaos secret rare that isn't Chaos Emperor Dragon. Invasion of Chaos, one of the most expensive sets. Invader of Darkness is probably a $10 raw card near mint in secret rare first edition. Kind of a similar situation. If anything, it's got better artwork. And it is a monster, which usually outsells the magic cards. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing there. You're going to want to target the set collectors. You're going to want to target the... If you could get a PSA 10, even cooler. But if you're just going to want to buy it and hold it for the very long term, I mean, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong buying any card that's rare out of a very expensive box. Will you expect crazy returns? Or quickly? Probably not, because it's just the demand isn't there, right? The demand, you got to find a niche buyer for it, but over time the stuff should dry up.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it makes sense, man. Yeah, I think that also. Yeah, that, I mean, it's not a very good card, clearly. I mean, it's not something that people are going to use in the current meta anytime soon. So, yeah, for the player response, it isn't going to drive it up. So, I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, man. I've been listening to your stuff for a good 6 months now. I think you're pretty smart about this. So, yeah. Anyway, I heard you say you were gonna wrap this up in about 15 minutes. I just wanted to call in and talk to you. And...
Oh, I guess he's gone. I was just gonna ask his name. Oh man, that's unfortunate. Well, if you are here and you're still here and you didn't disconnect from the internet, if you want to throw your name there in the chat, that'd be cool. It's nice to get to know you. It's good to get to know my viewers as well. It's always fun to see who I'm actually broadcasting to, who I'm making videos, who's watching these videos. It's always a fun experience. He got too excited. I mean, yeah, it's fun. Talking Yu-Gi-Oh is awesome. So, thanks for calling in. Garrett. Yeah, thanks, Garrett. I appreciate it. And thanks for watching, man. I appreciate it. Go ahead and... Always more content coming up. We actually got a BGS return coming this week, so that should be fun, and I have no idea what the grades are, so that's always cool. It's only like 10, 15 cards. Oh, Garrett. Yep, thanks, VJ. VJ's in here. Or Fiche. Always a great dude, too. He's got a sick collection. Go check out Fiche on Instagram, also known as VJ. So, pretty cool. Outside of the first edition, Dark Magician Girl, what other Dark Magician Girl PSA 10s worth investing in that's not Sky High? Tough. I mean, you want to stick with the first ed, but if you're not going to, you might want to go with, actually, the Ghost Rare, even though it's crazy expensive, the Ghost Rare Japanese. I don't like Japanese investing in Japanese cards too much, because I think they're niche. But there's definitely, I think, profit or potential to be made on the PSA 10s of the championship cards in Japanese. The Ghost Rare championship card. Now, I think it was given to the World Championship, was it 2017? Along with a Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon and a Monster Reborn. I think that Ghost Rare Dark Magician Girl, even though it's skyrocketed in price in the last year, I think it's such a nice card. I mean, it's aesthetically awesome. Last Art DMG that's coming up. There actually is a Lost Art Dark Magician Girl coming. Oh boy, I gotta check this out, because if that's the case, so is that without the sensors and everything going on, Veli? That would be worth it. Glad I got it back then for 1.4. Yeah, the DMG Ghost Rare is awesome, dude. DMG is sweet. I think Basic Instant. Guy's the guy with the glasses, main card. Oh my goodness, that's freaking great. The YAP1 DMG that never came to the US. Yeah. That's honestly, I mean, if you're looking for modest returns, that's probably a decent card to invest in. It's a great artwork, and I think it's been going up. That's pretty solid. Oh, that's the Lost Art. Oh man. I am gonna go hard on that card then. If they limit the amount of that, Oh, that's beautiful. That was an awesome art. Which she's like on a broom, right? Or is it something? Is that I'm thinking of something else? She's like horizontal or slanted on a broom. That's a sweet card. If they take it to the U.S., that's awesome. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? We got 50 people in the room watching, so including Sully, make it 51. Any other questions we got? Any Yu-Gi-Oh related stuff? Let's see what we got. Anybody else? For the kids that say it's a broom, it's not a broom. What is it? Is it like a spellcaster stick? It probably is a spellcaster stick that looks like a broom, I guess. Man. Ouch. I just insulted that DMG. Dang. Legendary Duelist. It's okay. Ghost Rare Legendary Duelist is alright. You know, it's just not the right artwork. The Ghost Rare you want is the original art Ghost Rare from the World Championship Series. Dark Paladin from the box. What to hit the fan? About to hit the fan? You're talking about the Duel Master's Guide, Dark Paladin? Because that would be interesting. I mean, honestly, that card is undervalued. What's Light Played, DMG, Unlimited? Oh, gosh, I have no idea. It's got to be worth, what, 100, 200 bucks? Maybe I'm wrong. MFC? Oh, you're talking about the First Ed Dark Paladin from MFC? Yeah, that card is still very undervalued. New to Yu-Gi-Oh! Collecting and when the sealed product, what do you think is a good place to start for under $1,000? That's a tough question. But I would just go sealed product, man. Just go like any boxes. You can't go wrong with any old Yu-Gi-Oh boxes. Like even if it's GX, even if it's Ancient Sanctuary, even if it's Magic Ruler, anything under 1,000, you can't go wrong there. MRD. The problem is MRD isn't really under 1,000 for sealed. He could probably pick up a card or two. PSA 10. Yeah, it's tough. Is the Lost Art DMG being dropped in, or are they just singles? I believe they're singles, at least with the Lost Art promo for the old cards, like the last years and the years before that. They gave it out if you spent $30 at the shop that they gave it to. So, I don't know if the rules will be the same. I haven't gone to a shop to get the Lost Art promo since Monster Reborn, which was actually, I believe, the first one, and I stopped doing it. I am definitely interested in the Lost Art DMG. That's for sure. Especially if they limit them. If they limit the amount, I am 100% in on those, man. No questions about it. All right. Any final questions? Any last calls? How did the interview with Gary come to be? Did you reach out? Really enjoyed it. Thanks, man. Burndos? Yeah, I actually just reached out to him directly. I know some people that know him or that have dealt with him before. So he was like one of the nicest guys, man. Like he was amazing. Like the best. He was the best interaction, the best interview I think I've had. No offense to Vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! He's awesome too, but like to hear the stories of Gary from Pawn Stars, the guy who's like been collecting for years and years and years and been holding all this stuff, and his knowledge of the game is just so sharp. That was such an awesome experience. And the best part about it, he's the nicest guy ever. So, super cool. When it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Grading, you prefer BGS? I prefer PSA, but I am losing my preference after PSA is getting slaughtering me in the last few submissions. Maybe I'll go to BGS and see what happens. It's still $30. More details. The link. The distribution is a bit different this time. There may be more supply than the first. Ah, man. Still, the demand's going to be high. Hopefully, the supply isn't too much higher. That roll of foil for the Eye of Anubis stamps was unreal. I know, man. It was crazy. He could literally make wallpaper from the Eye of Anubis stamps, which is like absolutely. He can make a house full of Eye of Anubis stamps. How big is your collection? Are you almost done collecting? At this point, like my goals, there's so many things that I wanted to collect, like GX Ulti Arts, PSA 10s. It's just not going to happen. It's too expensive. I cannot get the cover cards in GX Ultis PSA 10. I can't get all of them now. It's just too much. Too much. I think I'd almost be done collecting. I might have a few things left under my sleeve that I really do want, but I don't want to say that in this video just because, like, A, I want it to be a surprise. B, I want to see if anyone can get a deal done first. That would be awesome. But, yeah, there's a few cards I still want, but we'll have to see if that happens. It depends. Life is weird. Should have asked Gary more Yu-Gi-Oh questions. Yeah, maybe I'll have him again come in for a Yu-Gi-Oh question. Needleworm. I wish I had a needleworm. That'd be awesome. I wish I had the TP set. It'd be super cool. What do you think of the Japanese 20th anniversary rares? 20th, like you're talking the ghost rares with the foil all over them, the 20th anniversary pack. They are pretty beautiful. I prefer the rarity collection ones though, because it's too much foil on the 20th anniversary for me. Flashbacks to the moment when Tim sold something that the buyer returned and canceled it after he posted a video about it. Oh yeah, that was horrible. But hey, I ended up with the last laugh there, so. And I got a card out of it that I really, really wanted. So it actually turned out better. I ended up selling it after that whole video was made. Some guy said, look, I'll PayPal you the money. We'll get a deal done. I trust you. I'll give you basically what he was going to give, which was awesome. And then with that money, I put it into a card I really, really wanted. I think the Cyberstein, and I think it was something else. And the Cyberstein was just epic. Like, so I'm super happy. So everything comes full circle, right? You know? So that's always cool. All right, everybody. I think we are wrapping this up. I appreciate everyone that joined the stream. Do you think that old PSA cases are going to be lower in prices? Can you just get it recased? No. I mean, look, if it's a week 10, it's a week 10. You might have, if it's an old 10 and a week 10, you might have a little bit of a price discrepancy there. But I think overall, I mean, it's still a 10, right? Or still a 9, whatever the grade is. So I can get it recased, but it will have the same serial number with the new PSA logo. Thanks for the stream, guys. I appreciate it. Wake up smarter. Ruxin, congrats on 1,000, dude. Keep it going. Excited for the 1,000 sub, or 10,000. 1,000. 10,000 for Ruxin. I'm looking forward to that big opening. Pocket review, thanks, man. Cyhawk, Veli, appreciate it. And I appreciate it all, guys. Dark Magician Arcana, first edition. Nah, don't buy that, man. Don't buy the Arcana. Sorry, dude. Old 10s are just as consistent as new 10s, literally. Yeah. Have a good one. Take care, guys. I appreciate it. Till next time, YugiohTube, signing out.